Hello and welcome. Can you hear me? I haven't started yet. We're just about to start the broadcast. I just want to give everyone a chance to come into the room. My name's Steve Woody and I'm going to be the technical assistant here helping Jamie throughout this live class. So I just want to make sure that you can hear. Can you just let me know that you can hear okay in the chat box, please? Hey, there's a lot of people in the room. I can see everyone coming in. Can you hear me okay? Fantastic. So, just before we get started, firstly, I'd like to say thank you so much for your time. I can see we've got people from all over the world, people from Japan, Australia, America, there's people from India, so fantastic, thank you so much. So, hello and welcome. Before we get started, now I know that you can hear me okay, you type it into the chat box, and this is working. I just want to let you know that we will be starting in just a few minutes' time. Jamie's here, she's ready to start. So just to let you know that I am going to be helping with the technical side of things because we have over 700 people today registered for this class, so that is amazing, absolutely amazing. There's a few people here that are saying they can't hear anything, so just bear with me a second while I just check the audio and make sure everything's working okay. Hello, so can you hear me okay? Okay, I'm just going to check this again, make sure that this works. So hopefully you should be able to hear me okay now. Okay, give me a second, I'm just going to sort out the audio, it'll be 2 seconds for this. Okay, so I'm going to make this so it's a bit clearer for you. Some of you are saying that the sound is very clear. A bit of a reflecting tone. Okay, so bear with me a second here while I do this. Hello, how's this? Can you hear me better now? Hello. How's that? Is that better? Can we hear okay? Fantastic. Okay, right, brilliant. So we're going to get started then. So, firstly, welcome to English Success Academy's live class. If you're here to watch Jamie speak about how to guarantee a TOEFL speaking score of 26 or higher, you're in the right place. So, just to let you know again, my name is Steve Woody and I am Jamie's technical assistant. So because we've got a really big group today, she's asked me if I can be here just to help you so that everything runs smoothly. In a few moments, I'm going to introduce Jamie and then you'll be able to see her video and also her screen. She will be speaking to you live. So this class is expected to last for about 90 minutes. So about an hour and a half. It may run over depending on your questions and your answers. Now, Jamie has assured me that she will be available for as long as it takes until all of your questions are answered. I know some of you are saying you can't hear me. I'm going to do my absolute best to sort this out in a minute, but I just want to run through. So hopefully you can hear me. Can I just check one more time? You're saying it's not clear. Okay, so hello. Just check here. There we go. Okay, so this is Okay, I'm just going to let that chat box catch up. So can you let me know if you can hear me? Okay, how's this? Okay, can you hear me? Okay, if you can't, then don't worry, I'm going to fix this. Hello? How's that? Can you hear me okay? Right, I've just changed the voice, so hopefully you can hear me okay now. Perfect. So if you have to leave at any time, I was just saying that we are recording this class. You will be able to get this via a link in an email, which we will send out. We'll make sure that you get that. So don't worry if you miss anything, if it goes a little bit too fast, if it's not clear. You will have a copy of this recording to view in your own time later on. During today's class, Jamie will ask you some questions, and we'd like you to write your answers in the chat box. Now, because we have nearly 700 of you registered, obviously this could be quite challenging to see everybody's chat, so we're going to do our absolute best, and I'm going to be here to make sure that I help Jamie go through this. And just to let you know that this is the first class in a series, so we're going to be doing this regularly, and we're going to want your feedback to know how we can make this better. So this is the first one today, so congratulations and thank you for being here. And we're going to teach you about how to get a high TOEFL score. Now I know that Jamie has been working really hard on the content. She wrote a lot of this flying over from America. She flew into London yesterday. And so I know that she's really been working hard to get all of this content for you. And you'll find that today's class, not only is it going to be really useful, but a lot of the information that she's going to go through today is new information. This is information that she hasn't covered in Write Notes, Advanced Speaking Guide, any of her programs that she offers. This is completely new. So it's going to be really good for, even if some of you are already people that know Jamie, this is going to be really good for you. I know some of you are saying that there's an echo and there's a challenge on the sound quality. Bear with me on this. I will make sure that the echo goes and that we sort this out for you. I want to pass over to Jamie so that she can start and I can work on the voice for you. So if you have any friends that you think should be here, please share the link. Make sure that they have the opportunity to come in to the room and to share this as well. And one final thing is that we have a special gift for all of you for being here today. So we really do respect and appreciate your time and the fact that you're here and that you're with us. And so, and you're saying I speak fast, so I will slow down, I'm sorry. The reason I'm speaking fast is because I want to hand it over to Jamie, and you don't want to be listening to me. I appreciate what you're saying about my English accent, thank you, but I will speak slower for you. What I really want to do is just to let you know that we have a special offer. So for any of you today that stay till the end of the call, we have a special offer just for you people to say thank you. So I'm going to talk more about that later, but for now I'd like to pass over. So I'm going to introduce to you now, I'm going to pass you over to Jamie.
Hi there, welcome guys. I'm really excited that you're here, that you're watching today. I know if you're in America right now on the West Coast, it's super early in the morning, like maybe 6 a.m. So that makes you a champion for waking up so early. And anybody who's on the other side of the world, like Asia, I know Tokyo was one of the cities I wrote on our list of when we're starting class. It's about 10 p.m. at night now. So it's either really early, maybe the middle of your day, or later. And I'm just really glad that you made the time to come and watch this and find out this information. I know a lot of you are here because you want a speaking score of 26 or higher. We're going to talk about how to do everything right so that you get that score on the TOEFL IDT. And I'm basically going to explain 5 score-limiting behaviors or myths, reasons that keep people's scores low, and then we're going to talk about some really clear ways that you can improve your score, specifically by following some strategies that I've seen my students do in the last few years. So for me, teaching this class for all of you is a really big responsibility because I usually teach private lessons to students, and I think that Education should be customized. It needs to fit an individual person. So when I speak to so many students from all of these different countries with lots and lots of different native languages, I want to be really careful about what I say. And so I made the choice to talk about information that can benefit most students from lots of different countries and from any language group. So what I'm talking about today is true for most people. It can't be true for 100% of everybody who could be listening, but I have purposefully and carefully chosen topics that are true for at least 50 or 60% of the students who I know. So there's a good chance that what I'm talking about is going to be true for you too. And I will be presenting some information talking about the mistake and then a solution for how to fix that mistake. And then I'm going to have a little activity where I'll ask you questions. And like Steve said before, we want you to actually type and interact with us in the chat box. I think a lot of you are actually going to write, so I'm not sure how easy it will be for me to read everything, but I think you'll have a record of it later. We can go back through and check out those answers. So share with the group if you feel comfortable doing that. And definitely try to wait to ask any questions, because you can see that that stream of chat is moving really, really quickly. And so if you type the question now, we might lose it later. So if you have a question that you want to ask, I would recommend that you type your question in another Word document or somewhere on your computer, and then you can copy paste it in when I'm ready to take questions at the end of our time. So, all right, okay, I know you're ready to start. So let's jump into this. Let's talk about how you can get a score of 26 or higher on TOEFL IBT speaking section. All right. So the first score limiting error that I want to talk about is a huge problem for at least 98% of students who are studying for TOEFL. And this is the problem. Why do people get a speaking score of 26? What does that number mean? Students don't understand. English teachers don't always understand. TOEFL preparation books don't include information about this. ETS's official scoring criteria is kind of confusing. Why are people getting speaking scores of 26? All right, so what we're going to talk about is, sorry, got a little confused with my slides there. Okay, so we're going to talk about what gets a speaking score of 26, why that happens. Because it's not your fault when you don't understand what speaking 26 means. And we're going to clarify that. We're going to talk about that right now. So I'm showing you a slide right here, and we're going to look at a visual representation of how accurate your English is compared to the TOEFL IBT speaking score that people usually get. Okay, so you can see here we've got some numbers like 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and as the blue bar gets higher, this indicates that your English is a little more accurate, a little more accurate, a little bit better, a little bit better, right? And it's a pretty consistent increase. And so if you're trying to get a 26, you're probably thinking, well, if I just speak a little bit better, and a little bit better, then I can get 25 and 26. But here's the thing. Actually, there are two really important things about this. The first thing to understand is that there is no score of 25 on the TOEFL speaking section. In all the years that I've been teaching TOEFL, since 2010, I have never seen a TOEFL speaking score of 25. People don't get it. There's actually a gap. So don't try to get 25 because you'll be disappointed. Basically, you have to aim for 26 or higher, or be happy with 24. Those are really the only two options in terms of a physical score that you can get. Now here's the other really important thing. The difference between a 24 and a 26 is much bigger than most people realize. Like I said before, a lot of people think the difference is something like this, where you see the blue bar is where 24 is. People think 26 is a little bit better than 24. They think that orange bar is the target. So remember that orange bar. The thing is that in reality, the difference between the level of English, how accurate your English is when you get that 26, is actually significantly higher than it is at 24. So people think it's the orange bar, but what I've found from teaching TOEFL and working with students who changed from 24 to 26 or 27 or 28, I'm going to tell you some stories of people who got 28, they worked much harder to get that 26 than they did to change their score from 22 to 24. So what this means is that, for the most part, people aren't studying hard enough to actually make the difference in their English at TOEFL in the beginning. That's the first thing. Now, if you compare the energy and the effort that you need to spend to change your score from 22 to 24, it's a pretty small amount of energy and effort. You know, it's a 2-point increase. But the level of English of 22 and 24, it is a little bit better. I mean, they're not the same score, but they're pretty similar to each other. But if we compare that to the energy that you need to spend to change your score from 24 to 26, you might still have an improvement of just 2 points, but that improvement is substantially bigger. It's substantially more, and it requires a lot more effort to get to that point. So if you've been trying to get 26 on speaking, you need to change your target. That's the first thing. You probably need to study harder. It could be that you need to improve your grammar, maybe work on your vocabulary or your accent, and push that to a higher level than you previously thought that you needed to. So I just want to ask you guys a question. Is this valuable for you? Is this new, useful information? Just want to type a quick little email message over here in the chat box and let us know if this explanation is changing the way that you're thinking about speaking for TOEFL. Okay, great. All right, cool. So if you thought that was useful, then the next thing I'm going to tell you is going to be even more useful, I promise. Okay, so I know that these numbers and these scores are really confusing, and what does it mean? I mean, like a 23 or a 24 or 26 doesn't mean anything to us, right? And it's so confusing for TOEFL students and for English teachers if they don't have a lot of experience doing this. It's just a number. Okay, now I know the answer to this question, but the only reason I know this is because I've worked with hundreds of students from around the world who were getting these scores. I've had students who are at 22, 23, 24. They're stuck there, you know? And I noticed the patterns and the similarities and the differences for them. And then I worked with students who got 26 or 27, 28, and I saw what's similar and different about that. And so then I made these theories about why people are getting these low scores and why they're getting the higher ones. And I tested my theories on my students, and I created activities for them, and I helped them get higher speaking scores. So let's talk about what these numbers mean. Okay, so basically, when you're at a score of 23 or 24, people can understand you. They can. You are communicating. But the listener is struggling. Maybe they struggle with your grammar or your vocabulary or your accent. You're communicating and they can understand you, but they're stuck sometimes. They're a little bit confused with what you're saying. But on the other hand, when you're getting a score of 26 or higher, the listener doesn't struggle. You almost sound like a native speaker at this point. So it means that they can understand your grammar, your vocabulary, your accent perfectly the first time you say anything and everything. So basically, you are very, very accurate. So when your listener or the TOEFL grader listens to you, he or she doesn't struggle at all. That is the biggest difference between that. Now, how's that? Is that useful for you guys? Again, if you could just type a message over here, let me know if you're finding that to be helpful, useful information. Did you ever hear anything like that before? Is this the first time that you're getting this kind of information about the real difference, the true difference between 23, 24, and 26 or higher? Let me know, let us know by typing in that chat box if you've ever heard this before or if this is new for you. All right, great. Getting some new things. Wonderful.
We've fixed the sound. Sorry about that. We've got the sound. It's fixed.
Is it? Yay!
So it was a technical difficulty. Hopefully that's going to be a lot better now.
All right. Okay. Fantastic. Thanks for working on that. That's why I had a tech wizard on the scene here. I definitely can't do it all on my own. Awesome. Great. Okay. Well, and I'm glad, I hope that that's clear about what the difference is with the speaking score of 23, 24, and 26. Okay. So the basic difference is the difference between people can understand you and you almost sound like a native speaker. Now, I just want to add something else here, just really quickly. I have a lot of students who live in America. They're from other countries, obviously. They live in America, and they're getting 23 or 24. And a lot of these students actually have been living in America for years, sometimes maybe 8, even 10 years, and they're still getting 23 or 24. Sometimes they're married to an American, or they have an American girlfriend or boyfriend, and they're talking regularly with a lot of people. And so even though they're doing that, they can still get a speaking score of maybe 23 or 24. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that you can't communicate. It doesn't mean that people don't understand you. It just means that for the exam, and when you go to a test like the TOEFL IBT, where the scoring criteria is really objective, it's very neutral, and it's that different situation. In that case, they're a lot more strict and serious about sounding more like a native speaker. So that's the biggest thing I want to say there. But I want to get specific about this. I know a lot of people look at ETS scoring criteria and they can feel confused about that. I know I did when I started teaching TOEFL in the beginning. We're going to switch to another slide here. I'm going to show you one more slide because I want to go through the characteristics that are for the ETS scoring criteria and what you need to do. So here on your screen, what you can see next is this slide. Okay, so you might have seen this chart before. If you've taken, well, sorry, not if you've taken, if you've bought ETS's official guide to TOEFL, they have this place where they explain what the speaking scoring criteria is. And I'm not going to lie to you. When I started teaching TOEFL 5 years ago, I was really confused when I looked at this chart. And so for students, it can be extra confusing because it's lots of very technical language. It's really written for people who are scoring the test rather than students. So I'm going to translate this for you into real-world English, so that it makes sense in, concepts and sentences that we can really understand. Okay, so here's what the scoring criteria for Speaking 26 Plus means in real-world English. So the first thing is about delivery. Basically, that you speak at the speed of people on TV and in movies, right? So it's that native speaker speed, not super, super fast, not really slow, just kind of that normal conversational speed. And if you can do that at TOEFL while you're giving your opinion or talking about campus dialogues or explaining academic summaries at that same kind of speed, the TOEFL graders are really happy. They like that. The next thing is that you speak confidently with a voice that's loud enough to actually hear. Now, I know that sometimes TOEFL can be a very intimidating and scary environment. I was nervous when I went and took the exam. I definitely, I had issues about confidence. We all can. But in that testing environment where you've got people around you on both sides and maybe the microphone isn't very good at the exam, it's really important to speak loudly. So if you're a naturally shy person, you have to do something to improve the volume of your voice so that they can really hear you. And that you just sound confident, like you know what you're doing, and that they can be interested and enthusiastic about listening to you. The third thing about delivery is that your accent is really light. So you still can have an accent at this point. I'm not saying that people who get 26 have an accent. It is there, but it's really light. And the listener does not struggle to hear you or to understand you the first time that you say something. So that's really, really important. And that's usually the thing, this last one about accent, that's usually what most students are missing. They often think they just need to do grammar or improve their vocabulary or something like that, and not so many of them are thinking about the accent. So that's an important place to put some attention and energy and really spend time working on that. About language use, this means that your grammar is clear and logical and easy to understand. For vocabulary as well, it means that you use appropriate words for the situation. It means your vocabulary is casual. So, you know, even when you're talking about an academic thing, like on task 4 or 6, you want to sound like, you know, a university student who could hang out and talk with other native speakers. You don't want to sound really, really formal, because it's speaking, and speaking is not extremely formal. It never is. You know, so in the situation that they want at the exam, they want you to sound casual. And for topic development, it's important here to use ideal strategies to give a perfect or a near perfect answer for TOEFL speaking. So those are more things about, you know, the best sentence that you could use for an introduction, or maybe the best way to make a conclusion sentence and things like that. And those are some of the types of sentences that I talk about in my program Advanced Speaking Guide, where I give some recommendations about how to organize your responses. But you can see here that a lot of these other areas are different parts of English, especially the bit about accent. It really doesn't have anything to do with TOEFL. It's a very different kind of skill that affects your TOEFL score and makes it easy for the listener to understand you. Okay, so we're going to move on to my first question, my first activity over here. Now remember that you can type your answers here in the chat box, and I'm going to try to read through those as we go a little bit so that I can see what you guys are writing, because I'm really curious about that. But here's the first question that I want you to think about. How would your quality of life improve if you sounded like a native speaker? Now, don't even answer just about TOEFL. I want you to focus on your job, your communication with colleagues, your relationships with people in your community. In other words, how would you be better at your job, or how would your life be easier if you sounded like a native speaker? Would people trust you more? Would you be more confident? Would you have different opportunities because of that? And you might finish this sentence that I've got down here. When I have almost perfect English, I'll be able to, what? Get a job more easily? Get a raise? Talk with my professors with more confidence? Give presentations? I mean, lots of things could change. Think about that for a minute. Okay, now the next question I want to ask is this. If you are going to change your English study schedule so that you work to sound like a native speaker, if that's your new goal, because if you want 26, you've got to get to that point of sounding like a native speaker, what would you do differently? How would you study? Would it be in classes? Would it be with self-study? Would it be with specific kinds of programs? And how often would you practice? One day a week may not be enough to get to that point. A couple hours a week might not push you to that place. So how often are you going to study? And with who? Who's going to help you get there? Okay. Wow, guys, this is fantastic. I'm really enjoying reading your comments over here a little bit. I can see that so much could change for you with work. There could be so many different situations that open up to you, and that's really great. I love that you guys are seeing some situations for reasons that you would need this, not just about TOEFL. Not just about TOEFL. That this actually, sounding like a native speaker, having that level of confidence and accuracy with your accent and your grammar and your vocabulary could change your life, not just change your TOEFL score. It's really important to recognize that, because I have so many students who come to me and they're just really frustrated. They're so tired of studying for TOEFL. They're so angry at the exam. They hate TOEFL. They hate ATS. They're really mad about the situation. And it's really hard when you feel that way about the exam, because that negativity can really block you from getting what you want. And if you, like some of the students I can see here, you're seeing how sounding like a native speaker could make your life better. It's not just that passing TOEFL makes your life better. It's that having that communication and that confidence and that clarity can give you more opportunities. And if you change that focus so that you want more communication options in your life, then studying for the exam is not so frustrating. It's not so difficult or challenging. So this is really, really good. I love this. Okay, now I want to just wrap up this section really quickly. I'm going to tell you a story about one of my students. Kambiz came to me a while ago, and he was really, really struggling with TOEFL speaking. He had taken TOEFL so many times before he found English Success Academy. And by himself, his reading got better, his listening got better, his writing got better. And when he came to me, he used a computer program, Microsoft Excel, and he made these graphs for me. And he showed me this extremely analytical explanation of all of his scores. And he told me, he's like, see, Jamie, like, my reading's getting better, and my listening is getting better, my writing's getting better, everything's getting better, but I'm still stuck at 24, and I keep taking TOEFL, and like nothing is changing, nothing's getting better. And I told Kambiz exactly what I'm telling you today. I said to him, you have to sound like a native speaker. That's the biggest thing. You've got issues with accent, there's some grammar problems, vocabulary, stuff like that, and you need to get rid of those things so that you sound like a native speaker. And he was really surprised about that. That wasn't what he was expecting to hear from me, but he agreed to focus on perfecting those things that we talked about. And I'm not saying like just a little bit better, because remember, like I said before, that the 24 to 26 difference is a big difference. It's not just a little bit of extra effort, it's a big jump in that. So he really got his energy up, he got his motivation up, and he studied really, really hard. And the next time he went to TOEFL, he got a 29 on the speaking section. 29, because he followed the advice that I gave him about this, and he pushed himself to that place of having native speaker or near native speaker excellence with his English. And the 29 on speaking was 3 points higher than what he needed, but you know, that's a really competitive score to walk away with. Because if you can prove that you can communicate under stress that well, potential employers, you know, educational programs, they love that. They love seeing that. So if you change your targets and if you study the right things, you can definitely improve your score. All right, okay, we're moving on to the next, second biggest mistake that people make. Basically, people just get really, really scared when they study for TOEFL, and then they go to the exam and they become like this block of wood. They're like totally panicked, completely nervous, and they sometimes act like a different person, they sound like a different person because they're so stressed out. Actually, one woman sent me an email. She told me that she went to the TOEFL speaking section, and after the listening, she took her break and she started her speaking section, and the whole right side of her body, her mouth, her arm, her leg, everything on the right side went numb, and she couldn't feel anything on the right side of her body. That's how terrified she was. And so a lot of people have really strong reactions to the TOEFL speaking section, and that's not a good thing. It's not good. It's normal to feel some stress. I felt stress at TOEFL. My high-scoring students feel stress. Everybody feels stress. I'm not saying that you should stop feeling stress. It's not really possible to stop feeling stress because it's human, you know? I mean, like, you're gonna feel some stress. But the thing is, how do you react to it? How do you make sure that you are speaking so that you're really in control and that you're clear, even when you're stressed out? You need to be mentally in control when you go to TOEFL. I mean, of course, they want to surprise you. Like, they're going to put in some questions that make it a challenge for you that's a little bit difficult. That's the whole point of the exam. Hang on, wait, just 1 second here. I think. Oops. Sorry, are we on the wrong slide? Are we there? Can you guys see me? Okay. Yeah, we're going to get to the slides in just a second here. Yeah. I am. I am. Okay. All right, cool. Sorry, guys. Just a little bit of tech stuff back there. Okay, so my point is that when you go to TOEFL, you want to be mentally in control so that even if there's stress and even if there's a challenge, you feel like you know what you're doing, that you're able to control that stress as much as possible. Okay, so I've got a slide here for you. You might have already seen it, so maybe I'm ruining the surprise here. But a lot of times people go to TOEFL Speaking and they just get really scared about the exam. The typical student reaction is this kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm so anxious and freaked out and it's going to be horrible. That boot is going to come down and step on me and, you know. Have you ever felt like that when you go to TOEFL? Did you ever feel that way before? Okay, yeah. I know, a lot of people do. I mean, it can be just really, really scary. But the problem, of course, is that if you have that kind of reaction, you can't perform, you can't speak, because it's just so scary. And if you react with that level of anxiety, it definitely affects your performance. Now, I know that we've probably got a lot of pharmacists who are listening, and you pharmacists, you guys are the experts on what happens when chemicals are in the human body. So you know that stress hormone that's called cortisol? And when cortisol goes into the human bloodstream, what happens? Right? It could be complicated, but basically the human brain doesn't react very well with lots of stress and cortisol. Right? We get so much cortisol, it creates stress and panic. That leads to memory loss, so it's harder to remember what you want to do when you feel really stressed. And then, you know, you're aiming for that 26, you're aiming for like native speaker accuracy. But then, because you're forgetting, because you're so nervous, you're just going to go back and do the old habit or the old thing that you were trying to do previously. So with too much stress and panic, there's a high chance that you actually make more mistakes when you speak. So you have to work to change this anxiety so that you actually react differently. You want to react differently. Okay, so back to the slides. So if we think about this here, what's the alternative to this typical student reaction? Well, we've got to think, what wouldn't get crushed by the big giant boot? Something hard, something like maybe a rock. A rock doesn't get destroyed by the big boot of the TOEFL speaking test. In fact, the rock is just like, whatever. It's just a boot. I'm okay. Nothing changes, you know? The rock is still fine, even if the boot tries to step on it. Nothing bad happens. Rocks are safe, right? So would you rather have that reaction of strength or weakness at TOEFL? Yeah, I can't hear you talking to me, but I know what you're saying. I know that you want to be the rock, because everybody wants to be confident and strong and organized at TOEFL speaking. So the question is, how can you become the rock? How do you become the rock? Well, You might not like my answer, but sometimes students think that, you know, it's it's too simple, that there has to be some other kind of answer for this, but this is still the answer. I mean, basically, you become strong by choosing to be strong. That's it. Like, you change your mind. Literally, this is about determination. This is about making a choice. You just decide, I am going to do it. I will keep practicing. I will stay calm. I'll stay focused. If I get angry or sad, which is going to happen, it's okay if that happens, but you give yourself time to feel better. And then you try again, and you stay focused, and you just decide, I will do this. I will stay calm. I'm not going to go to pieces. And you just ignore the stress. You ignore the doubt. You ignore the panic. So you don't instantly become a rock, but you can become a rock, and you can develop that strength slowly and with practice and with awareness and with training. Okay, I'm going to show you a question here on the screen really quickly. So the goal of this question is to find a specific stressful situation where you stayed in control. And we're going to try to transfer that control to the specific situation of doing the TOEFL IBT speaking test. So think about your life. What's one specific event in your life when you were calm and in control, even in a stressful situations? Now, this might have been a test, maybe a presentation, maybe an emergency at your job. It could be a concert or some kind of performance, or maybe a sports competition. I know from talking with a lot of my students, sometimes they're medical professionals, and so they work in hospitals or something like that, or you know, they deal with people who are sick and in pain. Even a few weeks ago, I was talking with a musician, and she's regularly giving concerts to people. Now, I don't know about you, but I would be so scared to sit down at a piano and play for like hundreds, or she had big groups, even sometimes 1,000 people who were listening to her, and she stayed really calm, even in that situation. If you're a nurse, if you're working in the emergency room, you're dealing with people who are sick, maybe bleeding, you know, they could die. That's a stressful situation, you know. So what are those situations in life where you're calm and you do a process, you stay in control, even though you're stressed out? It's really important to find something like that so that you recognize that you can do this. TOEFL speaking is usually not the biggest stress factor in your life. It might seem like that, but there are a lot of other situations where it could be equally stressful and you can stay in control. If you can find something like that, and if you can transfer that control so that you see that you have the ability to do this, even at the exam, you're one step closer to becoming a rock. Now, another question that I want to ask here is, do you think that you need professional help with your anxiety? Or can you simply change your mind to be calmer? This is important because I'm not a doctor. And when that woman came to me, I told you at the beginning, she went to TOEFL and the whole right side of her body was numb. She couldn't feel anything. This is extreme. And I told her, don't waste your time or your money studying for TOEFL or English right now, because you have to deal with that anxiety. And so it might be possible that you actually need professional help to change that, so that you see somebody and you deal with that issue. So just know that changing your mind could be enough, given the circumstance, but you might need professional help with that. I'm going to give you a little bit of time here just to think about that a little bit more. And I'm just going to see what some of you guys are writing here. Well, this is fantastic. I love seeing your guys' situations about some of the things that you did that were really stressful or made you nervous. Some people have talked in front of 300 people. That's amazing. Other people feel really comfortable when they're passionate or confident. They can feel like they can speak better in those situations. It's good. So there's just a lot of different varieties of things that can make you feel like you're in control of something, or maybe if you're taking care of somebody else. Usually we do things for other people that we can't always do for ourselves, and I can see some of you are saying that. This is really good. All right, so was that useful for you guys as a way to think about changing your situation for the exam? I'm just curious to know, just a simple yes, no, if you feel like this could be a useful way for you to think about shifting the stress and shifting the anxiety that you're feeling as you're studying. Okay, just checking out some of your answers over here. These are great. Okay. All right, great. We're going to move on. I want to just finish up this section just by telling you a really quick story. So a couple years ago, I had a student, and her name is Aisha, and she told me that she was really nervous about going to take TOEFL. She was really sweet, and she said to me, like, oh, JB, I'm so scared when I think about TOEFL. Like, every time I think about it, I'm just so scared. Oh. And she was really, really expressive about how stressed out and how scared she was. And I said to her, like, well, you've got a choice, basically. You know, I know that you're feeling really stressed, but you can change your mind about that and just decide that you're going to get in control of that. Or alternatively, you could go to a hypnotherapist. And a hypnotherapist is somebody who hypnotizes you and does some work on reprogramming your reactions to things so that you're a little bit different after you wake up from it. I know some people who've actually done this hypnotherapy. So I offered it to Aisha. I said, you've got a choice. You can change your mind consciously by yourself, or maybe go to a hypnotherapist. So she interviewed a hypnotherapist. She thought it was really weird. She didn't want to do that, although I've had some other students who did it. But she basically just decided that she was going to do it by herself. She was going to change the situation on her own. And I asked her how she was going to do that. And she said, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to ignore my stress. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, let's see what happens with that. So she decided to just stop complaining about the stress, stop paying attention to it in the same way. She still felt it. She didn't stop feeling it, but she just changed what she focused on. She thought about something different. She thought about positive things instead of indulging those really negative feelings of nervousness. And what ended up happening is she studied and she worked in the programs that I gave her, and when she went to take TOEFL, she got a 26 on the speaking section. And part of that was a result of being more confident, being stronger, and focusing on the good things that she knew how to do rather than all the negative things. So that's also really, really important. And that's our second point. All right, okay, we are moving on to the third issue, the third score-limiting error that a lot of students can do and what we can do to change that. Now, I see this next one a lot, especially for pharmacists or physical therapists who want to work in America, and I see it a lot with students who want to apply to top-tier MBA or PhD programs. So many people do this. And again, it's not your fault because, like, it is so confusing and so difficult when you're studying for TOEFL. How should you be sequencing things? What should you do? So the mistake is that people get really focused on the high speaking score. That's basically what they focus on. They only focus on speaking, and they don't usually spend enough time or energy building up their scores in the other sections first. So a lot of students do not learn advanced vocabulary, or they leave their reading and their listening skills at the minimum. They get just enough points to make their program or like the pharmaceutical board happy, just enough to get that, and they don't really have the writing strength to get a higher score. And then they're trying to get a native speaker score of 26 on speaking. Now, from what we talked about before, hopefully you can see that there's a really big difference between 26 on speaking, where you're at a near native speaker level of grammar, vocabulary, accent, all those things. It doesn't match these lower scores. If your reading is only 21 or 22 and your writing is down at like 19, it's really hard to get a speaking score of 26 because you don't have the supporting skills. Now I know I've got another slide here that I want to show you guys. Okay, so here's the next thing. Now a lot of people, they think this myth. There's this myth that, you know, the speaking score is the highest, it's the hardest one to get, so I should focus on that first. I should do it first. If I can get a 26 plus on speaking, then it's no problem to get the other scores. And I understand why people think this, but it's not true, unfortunately. It doesn't really work like that. Remember how I told you before that when you get a 26 plus on TOEFL speaking, you sound like a native speaker, basically? Well, the thing is that if you're getting that kind of high score, then you need to have matching skills in the other areas. All right, okay, now I've got a picture here for you again. Okay, so getting a speaking score from 26, getting a speaking score up to 26 from 24 is a big improvement. And for a lot of people, it's almost like they've got a door up on the second story of a house, and they're jumping to try to reach that place. Right? That little guy down there can jump and jump. He can take TOEFL again and again and again, but just taking the test again isn't automatically going to fix the problem or make him sound like a native speaker. So the question is really, how does he get up to that door? How does he move up to that place? Well, he needs something to help walk up there, right? He needs some kind of stairs, basically. You need some stairs. Now, we can make lots of guesses about what those stairs are, and I know that there are some English teachers who might say something different with me about this, but I'm going to tell you my answer for this, and my answer is based on my experience of watching students change their scores on speaking from 23 or 24 up to 26 or 27 or 28. My answer for this is also based on watching some students be stuck at 23 and 24 for months, maybe even longer than that. Right? So there, in my experience, what I found to be the easiest, the fastest stairs up to a speaking score of 26 plus is to do the following things in order. And here the sequence is really important with this. First, boost your reading and your listening to 26 or higher. In at least one of the scores, you need to have at least 26 or 27. Because this means that you understand almost everything. Either in writing, when you're reading a book or a TOEFL-style argument, or when you're listening to the dialogues and lectures. At this point, your vocabulary is really strong. Your grammar is really strong. And you can understand and follow complicated academic arguments and discussions. And here, your scores should be consistent. So I mean that if you get 26 on one test, the next time you go, it doesn't drop to 20 or 22. Your score needs to stay consistently at about the same point. That's when you know that you're done with that part. And that's the first phase. Next, after that, you want to get your writing to a level of 24 or higher. If your writing score is more like 27 or 28, that's actually even better. In my experience, these students who got 26 plus on their TOEFL speaking do it even faster because their vocabulary and grammar and fluency and speed of thinking is really fast and it's really strong. So the higher your writing score is, the easier it is for you typically to get that improved speaking score. And then after that, you focus on speaking. You improve your accent. You improve your grammatical accuracy when you're talking. You make sure that your vocabulary sounds casual, like a native speaker. And then you work on the strategies that help you give a perfect or a near perfect response. But if you try to focus on speaking first, you're not going to have the same kinds of results as quickly as you will in the other situations. All right, so we're going to do a quick activity here. So here's my question for you. Where is your English currently? Are you trying to jump up to that door that I showed you before without any stairs? Or do you already have the strong reading, listening, and writing scores that make it easier to get high speaking? And also, based on what I said here, which skill, maybe reading, listening, writing, or speaking, which skills should you focus on the most right now? If you've got fluctuating scores on reading and listening, you should stay there, usually by building your vocabulary. That would be the best place to start. But what is it that you need to do next? I'm going to give you a minute to answer over there, and I just want to see what you guys are typing in. Ooh, so many people are writing. This is amazing. All right. All right, okay, I'm seeing some things here. Writing is the lowest score for someone, so especially if you need 26 on speaking, you want to make sure that you're really building that up, because it's not going to be simple to just get a 26 on the speaking section without that. I mean, just, you know, in my experience, people get 26 the easiest when they already have really strong writing scores. Okay. Great, this is good. All right, great. So hopefully this is useful for you guys as a new way to think about it, because I know that a lot of times people just feel really frustrated and confused and like overwhelmed, like what should I be studying first? So hopefully the information that I just gave you about sequencing higher reading and listening scores first, and then high writing scores, and then really turning your attention to the speaking finally, hopefully that will give you some confidence and some clarity about what to focus on at this point. Okay, I want to tell you a really quick story about a student who did this, actually. Okay, so there was a woman named Kayla who came to me, and her, in the beginning, her reading score was 23, but her listening score was 28. So we could see that her listening score was at that level, like what I just told you before. She was above 26. She had really strong listening, and her reading was pretty good, but she got bored sometimes when she was reading, so that's part of why there was that difference there. But when she listened, she really understood pretty much everything, so that was really strong. And her writing score was 26. So we knew that she had really great vocabulary, that her grammar was very accurate, and that she could express her ideas and her arguments really clearly in writing. So when she started focusing on speaking with her English Success Academy study plan, we knew that she didn't need to worry at all about the other three skills. She didn't have to focus on reading. She didn't have to focus on listening or on writing. That was done. And so when she came and started working with our programs, she just needed to focus on the speaking section at that point. So at that point when she came to us, her speaking was only 23, and she was really nervous. She had that kind of typical reaction, like the egg picture that I showed you, where the TOEFL boot was going to like crush the egg. You know, she was really nervous about that, and she had to deal with that internal anxiety to help minimize that. So we talked about how she could become a rock. And actually, Kayla is a nurse, and she told me some stories about how she used to work in an emergency room, and she saw people who were in all this physical pain. And at her job, she knew how to be calm and in control, because if you're a nurse and you're going to help people, you have to be. She trusted that she could take care of people. She trusted that she could be responsible for them. And so she found that place in her mind where she could stay calm and in control, even at TOEFL. So she transferred her calm from the emergency room of being a nurse into the TOEFL test center. And we worked on that. And the other thing that she did is that she started studying with the Advanced Speaking Guide, my program that's that green book that I have. And Kayla didn't use it for just an hour or two. She focused on 3 things really seriously. She got the workbook and she printed all the chapters for key 4.3 and key 5 and key 6. and she mastered that content. She mastered it. She perfected it. She didn't do it just once. She repeated it again and again, and she made herself sound like a native speaker. And at this point for her, it was easy to do that. It was easy to turn 100% of her energy, 100% of her attention, 100% of her TOEFL study time for those activities, because she didn't have to study anything else. She didn't need to improve her vocabulary. She didn't need to improve her reading score or her listening score or her writing. Those scores were already really good. So because they were so strong, she had the luxury of just focusing all of her energy and attention on the speaking section. And when she did that, you know, even after just a few weeks, she went to TOEFL again, and then she changed her speaking from 23 to 28. So part of the reason that she had that really quick, comparatively fast improvement there is that she was done with the other sections. And that is what I am recommending to you also. If you have to get a 26 or higher, if you don't have the option of that any other way, it might not sound like the most obvious thing, but I've seen this. Kayla is not the only student who I've seen that happen with. I told you a story about Combies earlier, who also changed his speaking score from 23, 24 up to 29. And he did the same thing. His reading was really strong, his listening was strong, and his writing was really strong. Starting with that first is extremely important. All right, so can you guys just let me know here, how's that going? Is that useful for you guys, like to hear those things, to hear any of these stories, or to get a different approach, a different way of organizing the sequence of what you're studying? Can you just let me know quickly with a yes or a no if that's helping you think about what you're doing? All right, fantastic. All right, love it. Great, guys. I can see that that's good for you. All right, cool. Okay, so moving on to the fourth mistake. So the fourth mistake is a really, really easy mistake to make. And it's something that can happen to people because they collect all of these different sources of TOEFL practice material. Maybe they've got some books, maybe some new books, maybe some old books, maybe some websites, some YouTube videos, all these different sources for practicing. And sometimes those practice sources aren't authentic. They're not like the real TOEFL test. And so the mistake is that people use practice that isn't really accurate practice. It's not like what happens when you go to the real TOEFL test. I made this mistake before when I started teaching TOEFL. This happened to me. I used a book that is just leads you in the wrong direction about how to write essays. That's actually why I wrote my own 24+ writing tutorial. It was because the books that I was using, I wasn't satisfied with the way they were presenting the information about those things. And anyway, but when you're on the internet especially, and if you're on YouTube using some of those channels that have collected practice for you, you've got to be really, really careful with what you find. Because the thing is that anybody can write TOEFL material, and anybody can say that it's TOEFL IBT speaking practice for task 3 and 5. Here's a dialogue. Answer this question, right? Any teacher can sit down and say, I'm going to make TOEFL practice material. And now with the internet, with YouTube, it's so easy to share that material with people everywhere. But that doesn't mean that that practice is authentic TOEFL practice. It doesn't mean that the dialogue is organized in the same way that the real task 3 dialogue is organized, or the task 5 dialogue. If you've gone to TOEFL a lot, you know what it feels like to take the exam. And so then sometimes you might find practice on the internet that's just not really good practice. You know, it doesn't feel right. So you need to be careful with what kind of material you choose to practice with. When my students are taking lessons with me, we focus on official ETS practice. That's what we use. That's what we use because it's safe. It's safe to use that. It's consistent. And especially if you want to get a reading score of 26 or higher, if you're already getting a reading score of 26 or higher, and if your writing score is 24 or higher, then I want to reassure you that you are able to think in English and you can express your ideas in English. You are at the level where you can analyze and criticize what other writers are doing. So if you need to think critically and analyze some of the sources that you're using for TOEFL practice, like some of the YouTube channels where it's just a collection of topics to talk about, you might really need to think about, is this safe for me to use, basically. But if you've taken TOEFL a lot of times, you are qualified to judge if the material is good or bad. You know, because the thing is that students need a lot of TOEFL practice. I mean, you have to, you know, and you get so many activities, like sometimes the books just get boring and you want something different. You want a video, you want a different way to practice something, so that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's important to recognize if there's a problem with the practice that you're using so that you can change it. And we're going to talk about that here. I'm going to show you an activity so that you can change the practice to make it safer and more authentic for the actual speaking section. So okay, so we're gonna change slides here. I'm gonna show you a picture. Okay, so here's our fourth activity. Now you don't need to write this in chat. Just write these questions down on a piece of paper, put this in your notebook so that you can answer them later if you find random TOEFL practice websites or YouTube videos. You're just gonna write down these three different questions. You want to ask yourself, who created this TOEFL practice? How much experience does the English teacher have with TOEFL? If the person doesn't have anything about that, you might want to think twice about using it, but it's good to just ask it so that you're aware and you're thinking about that. The next question you want to ask is this practice similar to the real exam? Like I said before, sometimes you might get a task 3 dialogue that just isn't organized like a real task 3 dialogue. Or for task 4 or for task 6, where it's the academic topics, sometimes English teachers write academic lectures that don't have the same organization as the real exam. So it's important to recognize that. If it's different, can you rephrase the prompt so that it's more accurate, so that it's more like the real exam? I'm going to tell you a story in a minute about one of my students where we did this because she needs a lot of practice sources. So we just adapt what we find so that it's more reliable. Now, if you don't feel comfortable answering these questions, you should use official ETS practice sources. ETS sells some books that have practice tests in them, and you can also get practice tests off of their website. And actually, on our website for English Success Academy, we've got some free practice that's set up for task 3, 4, 5, and 6, and that actually is ETS practice material. It's the same stuff that they have for free on their website. We've just made it available there as well, but it's actually, that's their stuff. I didn't write that. So if you don't feel comfortable answering these questions by yourself, just make sure to keep using real official practice. All right, so has this been useful for you guys? Is this helping you at all think about a new way to be careful about some of the things that you're finding online to make sure that you're studying in a way that is keeping you on the right track? All right, so just let me know if that's helpful for you over here. All right. Okay, right. So like I said, I wanted to just give you a quick story about one of my students. So I was giving lessons to a woman named Sandra, and she was looking through a lot of YouTube sources because she has taken TOEFL a lot of times, and she gets really bored with all the material that comes out of her books. So sometimes she likes to practice with YouTube, and I think that's fine. I think it's a good thing to be able to do that. But then one day she came to my class and she said, "Oh, I'm doing a terrible job with TOEFL speaking. I can't answer anything for task 6. And I was like, that's not true. I know that's not true about you. You're really smart. Like, you're doing a really good job with task 6. So we went through the homework that she did, and she went through a notebook and she found these notes that she got for speaking task 6. And she said, you know, there was so much information in these lectures. Like, it's so hard for me to explain all of that in just 60 seconds. Like, these topics, you know, task 6 is so tough. It's just like lists of information in the lecture. And I said, well, that doesn't sound right. Like, that's not how task 6 normally is. So we talked about where she got that practice from, what she'd done. And basically, she found a YouTube channel that had like maybe 6 or 8 videos that just had some TOEFL speaking practice on it. And she was doing that practice, and she knew that it didn't feel right, but she kept doing it anyway, right? And I mean, trust me, Sandra is a smart woman. She really is. She could write TOEFL IBT speaking material better than most English teachers who you just find on the street and say, like, hey, can you write a task 5 dialogue? Sandra, my student, is going to write a better task 5 dialogue because she knows what happens. She knows what the exam is supposed to be like. But because, you know, students typically don't question it, Sandra didn't question it. She just did the practice blindly. You know, she was like, well, a teacher wrote this, or it's TOEFL practice, so it must be right, you know? And we talked about that, about how she has to question that, because it's not always right. Sometimes the practice isn't an authentic practice material. So what we did is we looked at the original prompt, and Sandra rewrote the prompt so that it actually fit with a normal task 6. So she rewrote it. She used the information, which was, yeah, it wasn't fantastic, but it was okay. It's good speaking practice. She should do it because it's good for her. And then she rewrote the prompt so that she knew that it fit like a real task 6 prompt should. And so in the end, that was it. I mean, the conclusion is that she's fine. She actually doesn't have a problem explaining academic topics. The problem is that the teacher who wrote that practice material did not make good practice material. That was the problem, you know? So just keep that in mind sometimes, that when you're doing that practice out there on the internet, you need to be careful, think about it a little bit. It doesn't mean that you cannot use it. You can use it, but you just need to do it carefully. And especially if you've got a high reading score or a high listening score or a high writing score, you can trust that you're at the level where you're ready to change the prompt and write a better prompt than what the teacher did originally. All right. Okay, that's it for that one. So let's see. We're moving on to the final mistake, the last one. And this one really breaks my heart. I see this all the time. Okay, I'm going to show the slides in just a second. Oh, no, actually, let's show slides now. So, okay, so here's the thing. The 5th mistake that so many people make is that they give up before they improve. They give up early, right? It's kind of like this guy with our stairs. You know, he starts building some stairs and then he just leaves after a while. He's like, yeah, forget this. I'm going. It's not working, right? So people give up in 2 main ways, and we're going to talk about what these 2 ways are. The first way is that people create impossible circumstances. They're just insanely stressed out, and they push themselves. They expect these results instantly. You know, but hopefully you can see that if you have a serious issue with grammar or vocabulary or accent, just studying for a couple of weeks isn't going to make a major change in that level. It can sometimes take 4 to 6 months to seriously improve where you are. But if you just give up early, you don't know if your program worked or not because you just left it, you know? So it's important that you stay with the program and that you keep working on it so that you can get the results that you want. You just have to keep building those stairs. You've got to keep moving up, trying to get better so that you can actually get there. And so that's the first way that people give up too early. And the solution to this, it's pretty simple. You just commit yourself to the end result. Commit yourself. It might take a few months. It might take longer than you want it to take. I've got some students who unfortunately have been stuck for a really long time, you know, because they've got really difficult work or job schedules. It's not easy for them to find the time to study, or financially, you know, they can't always make the commitment to take private lessons the way that they need to actually get the results. So it could take time, but you've got to just accept that and be comfortable with that the best way that you can so that you're moving in the right direction. But don't expect impossible kinds of things in just a few weeks, you know? Don't give up too early. Now, the second way that people give up too early is in their daily study routine. I'm going to show you another slide here, another image that's really important. Oh, wait, no, hang on. Wait a second. Sorry, I don't want to show you the slide yet. I don't want to, not yet. Okay. So the second way that people give up too early is in their daily study routine. So basically, the teacher can say to students, and it happens everywhere around the world, the teacher says, do this homework activity. And then the student does it, and they're done. They just finish it, and they move on to the next thing. So if you're doing this as a student, it's not your fault, because most school systems that I've seen around the world just push students, do this activity, do this assignment, do another assignment, okay, another one. And we all know there's this endless list of assignments that the students have to do, you know? And so teachers and schools create this kind of rush, finish it, finish it, finish it. And the students don't focus on what they're doing. They don't usually slow down or really pay attention. So when teachers say, finish this TOEFL activity, finish this book, the students do it. But basically, the problem with it is that the students don't repeat the activities enough times to actually see a difference. And so they kind of give up, and they're not sure what to do. And so here's the slide that I'm showing you about repetition. And this is the really important thing, because when you're learning a language, you've got to repeat. I mean, you have to repeat, because you have to move up, okay? So this image that I'm showing you here, to repeat things until you really, really know it, this is about the 5 phases of learning and mastery. So take a moment here to check out these phases and the similarities and the differences here. So down in phase 1, this is when students are making errors automatically, unconsciously. They don't know that they're making a mistake at phase 1. In phase 2, students make errors, but they know they're doing it. They do it consciously. And this is important because they can change it if they know that it's happening. The third phase is when people are speaking accurately, but also consciously. So in phase 3, they know that they're accurate, they feel that they're accurate, but it takes energy and effort because they have to think about it to be accurate. Here in phase 4, they're speaking accurately, but this is easier because it becomes automatic. Again, they don't have to spend a lot of energy or time thinking about speaking accurately. It's just happening naturally. This is the place where a lot of us want to be when we're talking with people in conversations or something like that. But when you go to the TOEFL test, we have to push it up to phase 5. This is when you're speaking accurately and automatically, even under stress, even when you're stressed out. And that's the biggest difference here, is about the stress. We talked before a little bit about that stress hormone, cortisol, and how that chemically affects your body, and it makes it a lot more difficult to speak or to think clearly, you know? So pushing yourself to that level of accuracy so that when you're practicing or you're doing any kind of TOEFL activity or any kind of assignment, that you're always pushing yourself to be really accurate unconsciously. Now, of course, it's going to take time to get there. It's not super simple to just do that overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. It takes a lot of practice and training. And a lot of people ask me, when is it a smart idea to take TOEFL again? Well, I don't think that you should go, if you're down here in phase 1 or phase 2, where you don't know why you're making mistakes, you don't know what your mistakes are, or you make the mistakes and you can't fix them, it's not automatic at all, it's not a smart idea to take TOEFL at this point, because when you get stressed, you're going to make those errors. They're going to come out. So it's not a good idea to take the exam at that point. It is a good idea to take the exam when you're up here at phase 5. When you know that you can perform well, even under stress, that's when it's smart to invest in taking the exam again. But if you know that you can't do it, you should wait. You know, create a study program that allows you to get the improvement and the changes that you need so that you can go to the exam and know that you're going to be at a new level, that you know that you're really ready for it. Is this a useful thing for you guys to see? I'm wondering if these 5 phases of learning and mastery are helping you think about, you know, how much you need to repeat your activities. Like when you're doing a TOEFL speaking assignment, how many times you have to repeat something to get a lot better at it. Is this a useful way for you to think about it? Just type in yes or no there over on the side if this is helping you, or maybe if this is the first time that you've heard of this. I'm really curious about whether or not you've ever heard anything like this before. Okay, great. That's good. Okay, awesome. Love that you guys are saying that's helping a little bit here. Okay, all right. So I know we've just got 5 minutes left here, so I'm going to move on. The thing is, what we're going to do left for this one is just a quick activity. So here on the slide, we've got my next question, and I want you to just answer this. Have you been finishing practice quickly just to finish it, or have you been mastering the speaking practice activities that you've been doing? What have you been doing? Another question here, what kinds of speaking activities, maybe about accent, grammar, or vocabulary, have you avoided doing? Maybe it felt really difficult, or you didn't want to do it alone, or you didn't think you could do it. What do you need to pay attention to? Just write down some of the areas that you feel like you need to focus on. What are the next steps? And here's my third question. What do you need to do to change about your TOEFL study routine to push yourself to that red circle? And when I say red circle, I'm talking about that 5th phase. How can you get up there? What do you need to do to get to that level? For example, if you've got children, maybe you need to talk to your family about hiring a babysitter so that you have more time to study. Often the conditions for studying aren't good, and that can make it a lot more difficult to get the results that you want. So maybe you change your study routine, and that includes changing some things about your family or your home situation so that it makes it easier for you to study. I'm just going to give you a minute here to write some of your answers down for that. Okay, so basically, the solution for all of these problems with giving up early, that 5th mistake, is just to keep practicing and repeating until you master the topic. And I'm going to tell you just a really quick story right now about a student who did that kind of pushing himself to that red circle of mastery just with one activity that he did in homework for lessons. So we're going to talk about Andre. He's from Brazil, and he was learning one sentence that TOEFL graders really love on the speaking section because it just makes you sound more like a native speaker. It's kind of a long sentence structure. I'm going to say it in a second, so if you write it down, then you could practice doing it. But there are a lot of examples of how to use the sentence in key number 6 of the Advanced Speaking Guide, my green book, and Andre was really struggling with this type of sentence. Like, he tried to make the sentences, but it was, you know, he got stuck in the middle of it, and he didn't feel comfortable with some of the grammar, and he wasn't remembering the whole thing. It was just a very difficult sentence for him to make. So I said, all right, that's fine. We just need to change what you're doing to learn that style of sentence. So he agreed, and what he did as an activity is he wrote out about 50 sentences that were the same kind of sentence structure. So he wrote sentences like, one of the reasons I like living in Brazil is that blah, 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 blah. one of the reasons I want to be a doctor in America is that, blah, 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 blah. Or one of the ways I know my English is better is that blah, 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 right? And he just wrote out all of these sentences. He typed them out, he wrote them out, he got really comfortable thinking with that sentence and like putting it together and feeling good about that. And then after he wrote them, he spoke them. And he repeated the same sentences so that after his brain got wrapped around it, his mouth got wrapped around it. And he could say those sentences quickly, with confidence, and with accurate grammar. And he just practiced like a million of them. He made opinion sentences like that. He made academic sentences that gave definitions or, you know, like a task 6 style transition, something like that. He thought of other sentences that he could use in task 3 or task 5 to give campus dialogues. He just wrote loads and loads of sentences about different topics with the same kind of sentence. And then, like I said, then he spoke them. And so now when he talks, he uses those sentences, and he doesn't have to think about it so much. So he's basically pushed himself to get to that phase 5, that red circle, with that one type of sentence. And when I talk about my other student stories like Kayla or Kambiz or Aisha, who all boosted their scores, it's because they did the same thing. They pushed themselves up to that red circle, that phase 5 of mastery, for whatever it was that they needed. And everybody's needs are a little bit different, but you've got to push yourself to that point so that you can do it accurately, even under stress. All right. Okay, so yeah, so that's it for my 5 score limiting behaviors and the 5 score maximizing techniques. Now, before we tell you about our special offer and the discount on the programs, I'm going to answer your questions. That's also going to happen here. I just want to make sure that you really get value from the time that we've got here today. So I've got some questions. I'm going to show you these here really quickly. Just a few more questions to wrap up with. Okay, so the first question is, what was your biggest discovery that you had today? Take a moment to write about that. And if you type it in the chat box, you know, I'll be so grateful because I can see what that was for you. The next question is this. What are 3 things you're going to do the next time you study for TOEFL? List out 3 specific activities based on your discoveries and the things that we've talked about here today. What do you need to do next? Get really, really specific about that. All right, and the last question, of your friends and family members, who can you talk to about your plans today? Is there someone who can support you? I want you to write down the name of a real person. Who's going to talk with you about this? Who's going to be there to help you think about the ways to move forward? It's really important to share your discoveries with someone so that they can support you. It'll make it a lot easier to move forward. Okay, all right, so that's it for that explanation. I am just going to do a quick little explanation about how to keep moving forward with things. So depending on your answers about what you need to do, you know, what your next action steps are, what you feel like you need, it might be time for you to improve your listening or your writing skills, or maybe you're ready to improve your accent. So to make sure that you can keep studying and that you're going in the right direction with these things, I want to tell you really quickly about my programs, and we've got those on the new website. And so here, I'm just showing you the 3 books that we've got. Right? On our website, you can get Write Notes, which is the purple book. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. We've also got Advanced Speaking Guide, which is the green book. This is what I talked about a few times during the class today. And then we also have the 24+ writing tutorial for TOEFL IBT.
Tell them not to get them yet, because we've got an offer.
Oh yeah, but guys, don't get them yet, because Steve's going to tell you about the discount codes and how you can get those with a really great deal. So anyway, the Write Notes is a really good program if you need to improve multiple skills at the same time. We can help you improve your note-taking, your listening, your speaking, and your writing with this 21-day program. It's a video tutorial, and just by clicking on the button on the website, you can put that in your shopping cart. But like we said before, don't get that yet if you're thinking of it, because we've got a special deal for you. So Write Notes is good if you need to boost your academic listening, your academic writing, and your academic speaking. 24+ Writing Tutorial is good to help you write essays that TOEFL IBT graders will give scores of 24+. This program helps you have confidence even when you don't know what to write about. And the last program that we've got today is the Advanced Speaking Guide for scores of 26+ at the TOEFL IBT. This is a program that helps you speak with the accent that TOEFL graders prefer. And it also helps you gain clarity and confidence to improve your TOEFL score. So it goes really in depth into all of the scoring criteria. We cover some of the most common mistakes that students make from lots of different language groups. And there's loads of practice and activities for students to improve pronunciation, intonation, confidence, rhythm. I've even got some activities about how to breathe in the right place. That's something somebody was quite surprised about. They're like, wow, she even helps you breathe in the right place. So that's in there too. It's a really extensive program, and there's a whole bunch of information in there on that. So yeah, okay, all right. So those are the programs, and yeah, Steve, it's way to you now.
So, first of all, I just want to say in the chat, can you just give some appreciation for Jamie? She has just spent an hour and a half giving you as much value as she possibly can. And if you found this valuable, can you just show her some appreciation? Because she has worked so hard on this, so hard. And I really want you to acknowledge her as I am right now, because it's not easy to be able to sit here and to talk to a computer and not actually be able to speak to you directly. And I know how frustrating this is for Jamie, because she wants to be able to communicate with each and every one of you. So having such a large group like this, I'm so grateful that she's been able to do this for you today. And it's one of the reasons why we've created this offer. So I'm just going to put an offer now into the chat box. If you look where the chat box is, it says pop-ins on the right-hand side. You can see where it says pop-ins. If you just click on that chat box, there is a special offer. So what we're going to do just for now, and I'm also, just for the people that are in this room, I'm going to redirect you in a second to the program pages. But right now, you can get, if you click on this chat box, or the pop-ins, you can get all 3 programs. So that's Write Notes, Advanced Speaking Guide, and 24+ for $97. That's one price for $97, which you can get, but you can only get that today. We're just doing that for you guys. Okay, it's not something we're going to offer for everybody. So we just want to make sure that you're happy with that, and you want that, and you know that that's there for you if you want to get that.
Yeah. All right. Okay, great. And I'm just seeing some of your appreciation come in. That's so great, guys. Thank you for letting me know that this was valuable for you, because that's our only way of hearing back, you know, with it, whether or not this was valuable for you. And I definitely know how tough it is to just talk to a computer. Like, that's what I've been doing. So, you know, the next time you go to TOEFL and you're thinking, oh my God, it's so unnatural and I hate talking to a computer, just remember that I did it for 90 minutes and you can do it too. It's just for 5 or 6 minutes at the speaking section. So, you know, we can all do it. It's 2015 with our weird technological forms of communication, but, you know, with enough practice, you really can do it. So,
there may be a space at the end of the offer. If there is, I'm just going to post it again. So if there was
oh, did we have an error with
yeah,
the link?
if it comes up, it's just it's englishsuccessacademy.com/product/class-promotional-offer.
Wait, can we put that in as in the chat? Can we pin that? That'd probably be the easiest thing to do there.
The chat.
Okay, wait, yeah, let's do it. Oh wait, tell me the link again. It's so it's englishsuccessacademy.com/.
I'm going to put that in your Skype for you.
No, I can't.
Okay, so it's /product/class-promotional-offer. My chat box has suddenly disappeared.
Okay, all right, that's okay. No, we got it. I think I'm going to display that up here at the top. Okay, let me just check and make sure that link works. Yep. Oh, yeah, it's there. Great, that worked. Perfect. Okay, awesome. So that's working. All right. Okay, great. So perfect. So if you guys want to get it just by clicking that link there, it's pinned at the top of the chat box here. You'll be able to see that. All right, okay, so, all right, it's time for questions. Let's do some questions. So I want to make sure that you guys are asking any questions that you want here. It might be a pretty crazy stream, but Steve's going to go through those, and he's going to ask me the questions, and then I'm going to do my best to respond to them. First question that I see here is Steve a Native American speaker? He is a native speaker. He is not American. He's from England. All right. Okay, so let's keep going through some of these things. So, guys, make sure to ask your questions here. Please try to make them as clear as possible. You can ask more detailed things if you want to. If I don't know who you are, if I don't know your situation, it's good to give a little bit more detail about that so that I can really know who you are and know what you need. So try to explain it really clearly, because remember, there are a lot of people here who don't know you, they don't know about you, and so it's important to express in a way that really makes sense for somebody who's new to the situation, basically. So, okay, so for example, I just saw a question here, will it really help? Will what really help, Suman? I want to help you. I want to know, but like, will what help? You know. So try to be super clear about that. Try to make sure you're using good grammar, asking questions, and be really specific.
How can I improve my speaking fast by minute?
How can you improve your speaking fast? Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. All right. You have to improve your speaking quickly. Well, you need to identify what the problems are, Tamir. You need to know if your vocabulary is the issue, if it's about organization or accent, something like that. So you want to do a diagnosis so that you figure out what the issues are that you're facing. If you have a friend who is American or a colleague at work, you might want to ask them what they think about your pronunciation or your accent. That can usually be a really big obstacle for a lot of students if they're making pronunciation errors. Sometimes their colleagues and their family or their friends get used to their accent, but a new listener, like a TOEFL grader, doesn't always understand that. So you want to find out what you think the problem is. If it is about accent, you know, there are a lot of things that you can do to improve that. But if it's about grammar or vocabulary, you want to focus on that.
So another question here from Fatten says, I work 5 days. I work 5 days per week and 8 hours per day, and I only have 20 days until my test.
Yeah.
What should I do?
Well, I need more information. Faten, what kind of score do you want? I mean, have you taken the exam before? So I don't know if it's possible for us to track that. Maybe we can come back to that question. But Faten, I would need to know what your target scores are in each section, and if you've taken the exam before or if you've never taken the exam, because that would affect my answer. Okay, let's try to come back to that one if we can.
Okay, so some people are saying I've missed part of the video link. Can I get a replay?
Oh, yeah.
We will be sending it out by email.
Yeah, that'll come out. So to make sure that you get the video replay, after we finish this video recording, which if I stay answering questions, that means the video recording is going to get longer. But when we finish it, that will become a video on YouTube, and then there will be a link to it. So if you registered, you'll get an email in about a couple hours, I guess. By then, it'll be sent out.
So a lot of people have been asking this, and I just want to ask it for you as well. A lot of people want a mock test or want some assessments that they can do. How would you advise that?
Right. Okay. An assessment test. Well, I always recommend using as much practice from ETS as possible. So if you can do something from ETS's official website, that's the best thing that I would recommend. I actually don't write that much practice material myself because it's really time intensive to write good quality material, and usually I can spend that time better actually helping students. So what I do is I get my students, like when they take private lessons with me, they usually buy official practice tests off of ETS's website. Honestly, that's what I would recommend doing. Not taking a free test off some website where it could be like a 4-year-old TOEFL practice test that may or may not be accurate. You know, just go to the source, use original material for that.
Amar is asking, how can I take proper notes?
Proper notes. Take proper notes. Well, that's why I have a 21-day course for Write Notes. Basically, you want to create a system of abbreviations and codes that help you filter information and just write your answers really quickly. That's actually why I created that purple program, Write Notes, because it is a little bit difficult to do it. When I was in school, nobody taught me how to take notes, and all of the other TOEFL practice books that I have, they have usually just 1 or 2 pages that talk about taking notes. The book is like, it's important to take notes. You should take notes. ETS tells students that in the directions too, take notes, but they don't tell you how to do that. And so that's actually why I created the program. And I found that there's a sequence that I take you through in the Write Notes 21-day program where it starts really small, it starts very simple with some easy activities, and then they get a little bit harder and it gets a little bit more complicated. And the other thing that I include in that program is the ability to see my notes. So you practice doing note-taking activities, and then I show you mine, and you can compare your notes with my notes. And I found that that visual comparison is also really useful for students. I have a survey at the end of that program, and people give feedback, and they're like, yeah, looking at your notes is so useful, Jamie. So that's what I would recommend. Check out more about Write Notes.
Manny says, does listening to English songs help in listening skills?
Ooh, does listening to English songs help with English skills?
Depends
Yes.
on the song.
It does. It depends on the songs. That's true. It depends on what it is that you're doing, and I don't think it's going to help you really for TOEFL necessarily. I mean, if you're trying to improve your academic listening skills, and if you're listening to, I don't know, give me a band, who might you be listening to?
Oasis.
Oasis, yeah, right. I mean, it's probably not really going to help because the words are completely different, you know. And anyway, when we sing, the grammar in singing for songs can be really different from speaking because it's an art form. So it could help a little bit with pronunciation, but I don't recommend that to my students. Like, my students are not listening to songs. Like, that's not, they do that. Sometimes they do some activities to improve their accent, and that can be with listening to music, paying attention to things in music, but not to improve their academic listening skills. Not for TOEFL, no.
So here's one from, I'm going to attempt to pronounce this name, and I apologise if I get this wrong.
Do your best, that's all good.
Anidari?
Okay.
Anidari, I believe. I'm so sorry if I pronounce it wrong. It says, hey Jamie, I just got my scores, reading 23, listening 26, speaking 20,
okay,
and writing 21.
Okay. Wait, hang on, tell me the numbers again, I'm writing those down.
23, 26, 20, and 21.
20, 21.
Is it possible to get 100 2 months later?
Is it possible to get 100? Yeah. I mean, maybe. Yeah, it could be. I mean, okay, so the fact that you're getting 26 on listening is a really good indication that, I mean, I think that's great. Listening score of 26 is really good. I'm curious to know if that's the first time you took TOEFL, but yeah, you could. You need to focus on the few things in your reading that are holding you back. Like, I'm guessing that probably you get bored when you're reading and that you have trouble focusing, maybe because you don't like the topic or the topic seems stressful or scary. But if you're getting 26 on listening, you do understand. You do. But maybe visually, when you look at all those words, something else is happening to you. So I would feel pretty comfortable about improving your reading score. You just need to do a diagnosis to figure out what kinds of reading mistakes you're making, because there's probably a pattern about what types of questions you're getting wrong. So I would recommend analyzing that. Do an official practice test, find out. And then for writing, you need to, again, boost your score. I would recommend the 24+ writing tutorial for that so that you get it. And with speaking, I'm guessing the biggest issue you have there is just your confidence, because if your listening is that good and your writing is kind of at a similar level, you do understand. It's just that you don't feel comfortable expressing yourself. You're not sure what you should do. So again, I think that looking at the programs that I've got, like Advanced Speaking Guide could be good because you'd be able to see how to answer. Like, Advanced Speaking Guide in Key 6 has about 18 different model responses that I gave. You can read my transcripts, you can listen to my responses, and you can see how I'm giving the response, what I'm saying, what kinds of phrases I'm using. And a lot of my students see that, and they get a lot of confidence because they understand what to say. So that could help you, yeah, get that there. Because you just need like a few more points in each section. I would recommend, if you can, just get 24 on the speaking section. Don't try to go higher than that, because we talked about that earlier today. Getting 26 is substantially more difficult, but you can get 100 with 24 on the speaking section. You just need to push your scores in the other sections higher. So.
Pegah, P-E-G-A-H, has asked a question, but can you just put that question back, please, in the chat, because I can't see it. There's so many. I'm doing my best.
Oh, we got so many questions.
I will answer it, but I need to see it. I'm
my gosh.
Trying so hard. There are hundreds and hundreds of questions, and I'm trying my best.
Oh man! All right, okay.
A lot of people are asking about private lessons.
Okay.
So a lot of people want to know about private lessons.
Okay.
Samir and a lot of other people are saying, how can they get private lessons with you?
Okay. All right. Well, here's the situation with private lessons, guys. I have shifted my emphasis right now. Actually, the reason that I'm in England is that in a few weeks I'm going to a conference of English teachers. And my goal at this point is to start getting English teachers who are coming to me learning how to do what I do with students. Because if you've taken TOEFL classes and regular English classes, if you've studied for TOEFL before, you know that regular English classes don't help you improve your speaking score. You need something really specific for that. And so I'm in the process of training teachers. I've got 2 right now. One of them is starting to work with students, but she's got another job at the same time, so her schedule's really, really limited. So if you want private lessons with us, the best thing to do is send an email to info@englishsuccessacademy.com. Send an email to my fantastic assistant, Julia. Let her know that you're interested. She'll get in touch with you about what you need to do. But it's a good idea, you know, to just know that there's going to be a delay with that. Like, it's not going to be possible for us to meet like all of that demand. So let us know if you're interested. Let us know if you're interested, and know that I personally, like, my mission in life right now is to train TOEFL teachers so that they know what to do with you guys and that they feel confident about that. And I'm working on that. I am. So.
A question from Salma.
Okay.
When I think about my problems in the last test, I think I have a great problem dealing with stress.
Stress.
Now, they've taken TOEFL 5 times,
okay.
and they need a 26 in speaking.
Okay.
They've practiced many, many times, a lot of ETS material, almost studied it by heart, can remember every word, but they get confused with questions on the test. Their question is how to get along with new material on a test.
Okay, that's a good question. All right, yeah, so you've taken it 5 times already. I'm guessing you're a pharmacist since you have to get it and you don't have a choice about that. Problem with stress. See, part of the problem is that when you keep taking TOEFL and you get low scores, you feel really bad about it, which is normal. It's just human nature. Like, if we do a bad job, we don't feel good about it, you know? So one recommendation I would give you, what's her name, Selma, is to stop taking the exam so much. Like, wait. Just quit for a while. Don't stop studying, but stop taking the exam repeatedly. And doing a score analysis session might be a good idea, where we can have a private consultation. I can listen to your English. We can identify what the factors are. If it is something really specific with your accent, we can find out what that is. If you've got specific types of grammar errors, that's going to come up in the score analysis consultation. But I mean, dealing with the stress, you can do what I told my student Aisha a while ago, which is either to force yourself to figure out a way to deal with it, force yourself to stay calm. So you have to train yourself. You have to give yourself practice opportunities at home so that you get stressed at home. And if that's not working, you might want to try something, maybe go to a doctor, ask about how to deal with anxiety, or what I recommended a while ago, which is to try hypnotherapy, where you go to somebody who actually helps you reprogram your brain so that in a moment of stress, you actually react to it in a different way. So that would definitely be an option. But score analysis could also work. So, okay, what's the next question?
Okay, I can take proper notes, but it is hard to convert into summary. Can you guide me on what to do?
Take proper notes. How to transform them into a summary. Okay, well, so here the problem is that...
You're taking your camera off as well.
Oh, no?
No?
Mm-hmm. Am I not... Can people not see me?
Oh, no.
Am I stuck?
Yeah.
Wait,
no,
maybe...
Hold on a minute. Oh no.
Can I unstick my camera?
Oh no. Hold on. Hold on. Let me just try this.
Okay, sorry guys, trying to get the video back. I don't know if we've got a problem there with that. Okay.
Yeah, I tried to log in to something else. I think it just kicked me out. 1 second. Let me just refresh. Hold on. Can you still see it? Are you still on?
Well, I'm in the session, yeah.
Okay, can you talk to them quickly?
Yeah, and my mic is working, I can see. So I think my video is not here, but it's working, yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, people are saying they can't see me.
Yeah, but they can hear you, I think, so you can still talk.
Okay, all right, they can still hear me. Okay, well, so yeah, sorry guys, I think the video is gone, but you can still hear me, so we're just gonna go with that. The sound's okay, so yeah, all right, okay. Okay, wait, sorry. So what was the last question? Something about notes, I think. Oh yeah. So somebody was saying that they have trouble summarizing and taking notes. Yeah, that's not a quick kind of thing that I can explain just in like a minute to help you do. I mean, oh, I think my video just came back. Yeah. So it takes time to get to the point of being able to improve your note-taking skills. But here's the essence of the problem is that you're taking some notes, but then you're not sure how to make sentences around that, how to get that practice. So doing a specific program that helps you create activities that are challenging you to do that can help make that a simpler process for you. A really quick tip that I can give you is actually what I do personally. I take notes, I write them, but when I'm talking, I don't look at them. I look at the wall, I look up at the ceiling, somewhere else. I don't look at my notes while I'm talking. And that, for me personally, is the best combination of getting new information, but then, not getting stuck on it as I'm talking. But for other activities, you would want to check out Write Notes. All right. Okay. Have we got another question?
People are asking how much are private lessons, but obviously we've spoken.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the cost of private lessons because we don't have enough supply to make you guys happy. So I'm just, yeah.
I'm wishing to get 100 lessons. Thank you. Reading the private lessons. There's a lot of people we really know about the private lessons.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, I'm glad that you guys are letting us know about private lessons because it gives that extra incentive. Like when I'm talking to English teachers and they're like, I don't know, should I teach TOEFL? Like, is it really something? Are there enough students for it? It's really good to know that there is a lot of demand for that. So I'm really grateful that you're sharing that.
Ladonna wants to know, Janie, how can you give us some tips on how to avoid being cut off during the speaking section?
How to avoid being cut off? Well, the microphone cuts off automatically at the end of the recording. I wonder, I'm not quite sure what you mean. I think you might mean like your mind goes blank and you're not sure what to say. Maybe that's what you mean. That's the only way I can think that you get cut off. So if you're not able to think of words quickly and you don't know what to say or your mind goes blank, this just means that you need more practice. Like, I know that that's not the answer that you want, but that's truly the answer that you need, is that you just need to do more practice. When I told you those stories before about Kayla, who used like Key 6 of the Advanced Speaking Guide, my green book, she reviewed the model responses and the activities in there again and again and again. The most common thing that I hear from everybody is like, I don't know what to say on TOEFL Speaking, I'm not sure what to say. And I'm like, I know, everybody says that. And people keep saying that until they do enough practice that something changes substantially. So you just have to do more practice, like hours and hours of it. So if you're feeling that blankness and you don't know what to say, it's because you haven't done enough practice, typically. And the other thing I just want to say about that really quickly is that to speak quickly, like to get a 26 on TOEFL Speaking, you've got to speak pretty fast, which means that the words have to come into your head really quickly. So you need to create a study situation for yourself where you're talking enough every day to actually learn to think faster in English. I'm not even talking about speaking faster. I'm talking about thinking faster in English. And the only way to make that happen is by doing a whole lot of practice. Hours. Hours and hours. Okay?
Can I just say to everyone that's gone ahead and taken the offer, thank you. We will make sure that we connect with each of you and make sure you're happy that you've got all 3 programs and everything's going well. So, the people that have taken all 3, what would you advise they start on if they've now got all this material?
Okay.
There's a lot of material.
Yeah, if they've just bought all 3 programs, honestly, what I would like to invite you to do is to send us an email and let us know a little bit more about you. If you've gotten the programs, we're definitely committed to helping you use them in the best way possible. So I don't want to give like blanket information that everybody should follow, because part of what I believe is, you should get personal attention. So send us an email and we'll ask you some more questions to find out what your situation is and where you should start with those programs that you just bought.
So what you're saying is that if they bought the programs and they send you an email, you're going to tailor what they should work on first?
Yeah, we'll give them some advice about that. So yeah, so send us an email, info@englishsuccessacademy.com, and just write in the subject line like, I bought all 3 programs, so that we know, and that'll get our attention, and then we'll give you some special attention for answering emails. Yeah, little love there from our team. Okay.
So another thing, we've set up a study group, which there was a Facebook link. So the study group has gone up, we've got that, so if people have joined there, we'll approve them, and we'll get some material up there as well. Already there's quite a lot of people that have joined that already.
Yay! Woohoo! Love your guys' motivation, you're so motivated, that's fantastic. Okay.
Can I get a discount only in the speaking guide?
Well, we don't have that set up right now, yeah, I'm so sorry. So we're just doing that on the other one. If you get the bundle of all 3, yeah, we've got that set up. So.
But they can go buy individually as well.
Yeah, you can go get them individually. You don't have to get all 3. Nope.
I mean, for that one, what was that for the speaking guide? That is $57.
Yeah, advanced speaking is $57. And the thing is about an advanced speaking guide, like there's so many videos in that program, and the workbook is like 174 pages. There's a lot of material in there. Nobody has ever told me that there's not enough help in that program. So it's a really good value. And honestly, I've thought about increasing the price from $57 because I've never raised it from there. And I've updated the program 4 times since I originally released it, because I always like improving stuff and making it better. So that program is a lot better. And anyway, you should get it now, truthfully, before because we might raise the price on it, actually.
Guys, girls, have you seen the new website?
Oh yeah, did you guys see the new website? I hope you went and check that out. Let us know what you think about it if you like the new website.
EnglishSuccessAcademy.com.
Well, they'd be on there if they click that link on the chat.
Yeah, if you click that link, that'll take you onto there, you can see it.
Yeah, let us know what you think. All right, do we have another question?
Just having a look. So a lot of people saying they need a study group, so we've had the study group. I'm going to post the link again. I'm going to put that now. Just go through some questions. I think we've covered a lot of what was out there.
Mm-hmm. I'm just looking through here too. I'm kind of more at the top of it, but I just see, I don't know, I don't want to miss anybody.
No, there's so many. If you've asked a question, we haven't answered it, please ask again.
Yeah, might be good. Okay, wait, somebody asked a similar question. Oh, that's not the same one. Oh! Okay, what's the best tip? Okay, wait, Timon's asking, what's the best tip for scoring good on speaking questions 1 and 2? Okay, basically, to give a good task 1 and 2 response, you should sound normal. You really want to sound as human, natural, and just authentic as possible. So if you would say those sentences to give your opinion to a friend at like a party, then it's a good idea to say it at the exam. I'm not talking about using bad language or lots of slang or anything like that, but telling a story is always a really good idea to support your opinion on task 1 and 2. And then also using phrases that sound good. So don't say, one of the things I always tell my students not to do, I talk a lot more about this in Advanced Speaking Guide, there's lists of things not to say, but one phrase that you shouldn't say on task 1 and 2 is, I believe this for many reasons. I believe this for many reasons. Or I believe this for the following 2 reasons. Nobody says that when they're talking with their friends, you know, so you want to eliminate stuff like that from the speaking section because it just doesn't sound casual. It just doesn't sound natural. All right. Okay, what else have we got? Another question.
Can I explain one reason and one example and get a perfect score in question 1 and 2?
Can I explain one reason and example? Yeah, that's basically what I do. And in task 1 and 2's model responses in the advanced speaking guide, I go into a lot more detail about this. When I took TOEFL, I got 30 on the speaking section. And so after I got the score of 30, I came home, and in the next few weeks, we recorded a lot of model responses the same kind of way that I talked at the exam. So we captured my style of answering at the real test, and we put it into the book for you guys so that you can see all those model responses and the way that I talk and stuff like that. And you'll notice that in a lot of my task 1-2 responses, I don't give like 2 reasons. I develop it a lot. I give a lot of explanation, a lot of detail and depth, but I'm not giving like, the first reason is blah, blah, blah. The second reason is because of this. The third reason, I don't do that. It's usually just one.
Janelle was asking, what should we do as first-time test takers?
First-time test takers. Okay, Janelle, what you should do is take a diagnostic practice test. Sometimes people just want to study with like a book or something and like go really slowly. I honestly have found, in my opinion, the easiest thing to do is to take a full practice test. That's the first thing that you should do. Take a complete practice test, calculate your score, figure out where you are and what you need, and then after that, based on your weaknesses, get a program like Write Notes can help you improve your listening and your speaking and your writing all at the same time. If you're doing Advanced Speaking Guide, that's going to help you with your speaking score, or the 24+ writing tutorial can show you how to do a good essay. But it's really important to take that official practice test first. When students take private lessons with me, I do not just come into the lesson and start talking about stuff. I find out who they are, what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, what their current scores are, and then based on that, we create a program. So that's the place that you want to start with, is that.
Anders asks, please answer this. Do we have to write in past tense in integrated writing section, like the professor talks about, or like the professor poses the lecture?
Okay, Amber, yes. What tense should you talk about? You can use either one, truthfully. The professor explains, the professor stated. It doesn't really matter which one you do. Although, it's important to be consistent. So use the same one. If you start using present simple, the professor explains, the lecturer states, the professor argues, that make sure to keep using present simple for those kinds of sentences. But if you use past, he stated, the professor explained, argued, whatever. Yeah, you can do that too, but it should be consistent. So don't start with one and then change to past tense later. Make sure that you're using the same one, because the graders will notice that, and it's just a really easy mistake that they can pick up quickly.
Okay, there's some people that are asking for the practice test. I'm just going to post the link for that. If they just bear with me one moment.
For the practice test? Yeah. You mean our pages of speaking?
Yes.
Okay. The free speaking stuff?
If they wait 1 second,
yeah.
I'll do that.
Alright, guys, we'll try to get that in there for you. Okay, let me see. While you're doing that, I'm just going to look down here. I don't know. There's no real order anymore, but
okay, so I'll just put a link. Hopefully they can see that. The TOEFL Speaking Task 3.
Oh, I just saw something from somebody who bought one of the promotions and was asked. I think. Oh, should you buy Advanced Speaking again to get the promotion? Okay. No, we wouldn't want you to do that. Yeah, if you want the 2 other programs, can you send us an email at info@englishsuccessacademy.com, and we'll send you the link so that you can get the upsell without paying the extra. Yeah, we'll sort you out on that.
We may need to just do some admin to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to do that after we get off the call, but we'd be really confused if we did it all right now. But just send us an email, info@englishsuccessacademy.com, and let us know that you want that bundled package, and we'll sort that out with you. So we'll make sure to take care of you.
Claudia said, I just bought the speaking guide. Do I get confirmation? When do I get the guide?
Speaking guide. Okay.
Claudia, you will have that straight away. If you haven't got the email yet, we will follow up.
Oh yeah, we can see it. It came through. We got it. So yeah, we'll make sure. You should be getting an email to set up your account for the membership area, even just in a couple of minutes. But it's just possible there can be a little delay.
There may be a bit of delay, but that may only because so many people are going through.
Right.
So please just bear with us. And if you don't get anything within the next 30 to 60 minutes,
yeah,
please reach out, send an email to info@English Success Academy.
We're just all on the call right now, so we're like answering questions and stuff, but we'll make sure to take care of you. Don't worry, I'm not going to let you be unhappy about that. But we did see your order came through. It's here, so don't buy it again. You don't need to do that. Yeah. Okay, all right, anything else? Let's see, other questions? Any more questions?
Is the speaking confidence different than advanced speaking program?
Oh, speaking confidence. Speaking confidence was the first version that I released of the advanced speaking guide. So like way back in 2013 when I started that program, that was the first name, Speaking Confidence. Since then we changed the name, but it's possible that some of my old YouTube videos might refer to that. Maybe a friend posted a link or something like that, and so it could be that the program name is wrong, but Speaking Confidence is Advanced Speaking Guide, except the Advanced Speaking Guide is like just much bigger and much different. There's just a lot more information in it.
John's saying that he needs write notes, but he's already bought Advanced Speaking Guide. So John, if you send an email, we'll do a custom link.
For the bundle? Yeah.
If you let him know, we'll do a custom link for him if he sends an email.
Okay, so yeah, John, send us an email about that. We'll make sure to take care of you. Okay. All right, let's see. Question.
Do you want to read that?
Yes. Oh, I just saw it. No, I lost it. Oh.
Very last one is just...
Oh, wait. Remember Fatan asked us a question before? Oh, I remember that. And we just found out it's their first time. Okay, wait a second. But I don't remember the other details that are related to that. We might be able to... Oh, dear.
Is word count important in writing too?
Word count is important on the writing section. It definitely makes a difference. Yeah. There are a lot of model essays that I show in the 24+ writing tutorial, and you can check that out for like really specific stuff about each section, but it does make a difference. One thing that I will say is that quality is also very important when you're asking or when you're writing your essays. So don't just write like 450 words and just like keep typing forever, because TOEFL graders want to read something that really makes sense. But it is true that if you can write more, you can express your ideas more, you can develop them better, and so it does affect your score. People who can write longer essays that are very clear, coherent, they do get higher scores. Okay, let's see. Checking out some other ones here. All right, wow, that stream is like really going quickly. It's hard to see some of the questions here. Sorry, guys, trying to...
How much time do I need to study if I need to get a 26 in speaking?
How much time?
Listening 26, reading 26, writing 25.
Hang on, read that again, louder.
So, how much time do I need to study if I need to get a 26 in speaking? I've got a 26 in listening, reading, a 25 in writing, but I need a 20 in speaking.
25 in writing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 26 in listening and reading and 25 in writing. Well, I would say that's really good, because you're in the situation like a lot of the success stories that I talked about earlier today, like Cumbie's, who just focused on sounding like a native speaker, speaking like that. Kayla also was in the same situation. Aisha was in the same situation. So this is really good that your scores are high like that. It's hard for me to say because I'm not listening to you. Like, I don't know, right? I can't know unless you do something like a score analysis with me and I talk to you face to face. I'm not going to know what your accent is like or what your grammar is. But I can say that usually for people in your situation, I'm only using past stories as an example, maybe within 2 months, maybe like 2.5 months. Yeah, because it's good. You've got really strong English to start with. So as long as you just focus on the right things, it could happen pretty quickly, and maybe even faster if again, if you do a score analysis consultation with me, which you can link to through the website. You can see I've actually got, I think, 1 or 2 spots still open tomorrow. And since I'm in London, the time zone change is really different from normal. But if you want to, that would be a way we could meet, we could talk with each other. And then if I listen to you and I know what your grammar is like and your accent and stuff like that, I can make a much better prediction about how long it is that you need. Because it's, I don't want to tell you something that's just wrong because I haven't heard you. So, okay.
Any other questions? I think we're going to start to wrap up now.
I just saw some love for Mohammed here. Abid wrote that he followed what I said and he got a 27 on speaking. Congratulations!
That's fantastic.
Yay! Yeah, awesome. It is, to focus on all of the 26 speaking guide. Yeah, and I just want to say that again too. The thing is focusing on all of it. Because if you buy that green book, if you've got the advanced speaking guide, it's not like a buffet where you go and you're like, I want to do this one and that one. Only those. No, you really need to do the whole program. It's just not a pick and choose kind of situation. It's a do everything kind of situation. Because like I talked about before, the change between the 24 to the 26 is a big difference. It's a big gap, a really big gap. And so to do that, you need to focus on all 7 keys that I talk about in the advanced speaking guide and the 5 secrets and things like that. So that's awesome. Congratulations. That's super exciting. All right.
How to fix pauses and rhythm.
How to fix pauses and rhythm. Okay, yeah, great. The advanced speaking guide has got activities that help you with this because fixing your accent and rhythm and changing your pauses, it is challenging. There are 3 sections specifically. No, I have 3. 4. If you've got the program, I'm going to give you a list right now. This is the kind of quick guide through the advanced speaking guide that tells you exactly which sections to focus on for that. So if you need to fix your rhythm, you want to do key 4.3. That's the first thing that I would recommend. It's about weak sounds, and there's some activities in there for that. So start with that one, 4.3, and then go through key 5. Do the whole thing about intonation. Then you might also want to check out one of the secrets, which is about breathing and where to pause. It sounds like that might be kind of an issue for you. Secret number 4 helps with breathing, so do that one. And then you want to come back and go through key 6. Like how I talked about Kayla, she got the 28 on TOEFL Speaking, and she used that whole program, just really, really, really did everything that was in key 6. Again, it's not an easy thing for me to just do that with you here. I'm not going to do that activity. Because it's just the wrong context. And actually, I'm starting to get really hungry because I haven't eaten in like 7 hours and I'm starving. So I don't think that my rhythm intonation lesson spontaneously would be very good right now. But if you use those sections of the green book, then you'll be able to go through those things and focus on rhythm. And the other thing that I want to say, one of the reasons that's really smart about focusing on the advanced speaking guide specifically, and why if students have speaking scores that are stuck, but their reading and their listening and their writing is higher, and they use the activities that I've got in the green book, Advanced Speaking Guide, they can see changes really quickly because all of the practice activity in there about intonation, rhythm, delivery, breathing, pausing, all those things are for TOEFL responses. There are a lot of other accent courses and things which help you to improve your rhythm or improve your pronunciation, but those lists, those activities are not for TOEFL responses. So the problem is that if you improve your intonation and accent with other programs, like it helps you, that's a good thing, but then you have to figure out how to bring that into TOEFL, how to have the right intonation at TOEFL, how to, what kinds of commonly mispronounced words there are for TOEFL. And the thing that's so special about the Advanced Speaking Guide is that it's all just in there. I mean, the last 30 pages of the Advanced Speaking Guide are commonly mispronounced words for TOEFL, not for the rest of English, but what I know from working with my students, that when people have problems with sh or ch sounds, these are the words that they need to say for TOEFL. So, using those lists is going to help you make sure that your speaking responses are more accurate, basically. And all the activities that I wrote for intonation, they are not like general sentences. It's not conversation or dialogues or things like that. It's TOEFL responses intonation, which, I'm not saying that intonation is like completely different in English, but if you focus on the kind of situations that you need it, you expedite, you accelerate, you speed up your progress with that. So, that's why, using those sections, key 6, key 5, key 4.3, and then all the pronunciation lists is going to help out with that. So
I've got a few more questions here, if we can go through these.
Okay, before I die of hunger, alright, we'll try.
Is improving from a 26 to a 28 as hard as improving from a 24 to a 26 in speaking?
Great question, yeah. Improving from 26 to 28 is not as difficult as improving from 24 to 26. No, it's not. Because it's what I talked about before, just really quickly, that there's a substantial gap, and that's what, like, nobody can see that. It took me years to figure that out. I mean, I didn't know that for such a long time because the official grading rubric doesn't explain that clearly. It's not like a training center somewhere that produces TOEFL teachers for this. I mean, you only find out from doing it, and from having hundreds of students who go and take the test, experience that I know that. So, yeah, it's not that easy. I mean, it takes a lot more effort to go from 24 to 26. To go from 26 to 28, I mean, I've seen people do that. Yeah, I mean, it's not as difficult.
Is there any chance you can give us live classes about writing section?
Live classes about writing. We'll try to, yeah. It's not really my priority right now, but we will put it on the list. I want to make sure that we really get some more questions answered about speaking, and I've got some other ideas for some programs. I want to talk, for example, about delivery and accent. I want to take out some of the myths about that first. So that's my first thing. But I'm glad to know, and I'm honored and flattered that you want to learn about that from me. So we'll put it on the list of things to do. So.
Can we use ETC in writing or speaking for specifying examples?
Using ETC in writing or speaking, well, you wouldn't, you wouldn't want to use etc. I don't recommend it. I mean, I don't recommend it. In writing, I don't recommend writing ETC or saying etc. because they want to see your vocabulary. So show them that you know the words instead of just using the kind of like simple generalization. It's like, I can't think of what to write here, so I'm just going to write ETC. I wouldn't put it there. No, I wouldn't. And when you're talking, what you could say, if you're taking notes right now, I would recommend writing this down. When we talk, the equivalent of that in speech for that phrase is like, and stuff like that, or and things like that. And you might say that when you're talking, yeah, because it's pretty casual. So if you need to have that filler, you could, but I wouldn't recommend it in writing.
What do you think about templates for speaking?
What do I think about templates for speaking? What's the question, I wonder? I'm not really sure. Is there another one that's more specific?
Okay, Asma, could you just clarify on that question for us, please?
Yeah, but Asma, when you rewrite it, please rewrite your whole question because we lost somebody else's thing where it's just like a couple words here and then like 4 meters down is the rest of the question. So rewrite the whole thing so that we can help you with that.
Can we just memorize some common sentences and include them in our speaking on the test?
Can you just memorize some common sentences and include them? Of course you can. You can definitely memorize common sentences and just repeat them. The question is, what kind of score do you want? If you need 26 or higher, you shouldn't just do that. You shouldn't. You'll see in the responses that I give in Key 6, all of my model responses and what I teach my students to do, the people who go get 26, 27, 28, they are speaking spontaneously and they're speaking very specifically about that topic. TOEFL graders know when you're not really answering the question. They can smell it like sharks smell blood in the water. Like they just know that it's not really specific. So it's not a good idea to just, I mean, if you're okay with 23 or 24, sure, just memorize some sentences and say it. But if you need 26 or 27 or 28, do not just randomly repeat stuff because it harms your score. They want you to be specific. They want to know that you can actually talk.
Is it important to mention personal experiences as part of speaking answers for question 1 and 2?
It is important to mention your personal experience in speaking 1 and 2. And you'll see in my model responses that I give in task 1 and 2, in key 6, I keep talking about it. That's like, all the gold is in key 6. I mean, seriously, key 6 has got like the keys to the universe in it. But you'll see in there that I almost always give a personal story of some kind. Yep. So for really specific examples about that, you can go check out that part of the book.
Do you have types of vocabulary?
Vocabulary. Specifically, okay, 24 Plus Writing Tutorial has got a section about word families in it. And, I mean, arguably, the 26, the Advanced Speaking Guide has got all the vocabulary in it, but I don't have, like, a list of stuff, no. I think, truthfully, the reason that I don't have a vocabulary program is because my philosophy about learning vocabulary is different from some other teachers' philosophy. It is useful to have lists. I understand why students want vocabulary lists. But the thing is that the human brain usually remembers things better in a situation, in a context, when it can make associations about stuff. And so just memorizing like random lists of words doesn't usually help you use them. I mean, when I had to apply to go to university, I had to memorize all of this vocabulary for an entrance test for university. And like, I never used those words because I just memorized them for the purposes of taking that test. I never wrote with them, I never spoke with them. I could read them and I could understand them, but I didn't use them. So I really find that students use the vocabulary that they know. And so what I encourage my students to do is make flashcards and use websites like Quizlet.com and the app that can go on your smartphone or your tablet with that, and you make flashcards for things that you find. So when you're reading, or if you're going through a transcript for listening or speaking, not for speaking, but if you're listening to a transcript, find the words that you don't know and make flashcards for those things. And I find that that's usually a much better way to do it, basically, yeah.
So another question we have here is, how can I connect the idea quickly and provide examples within the time limit without feeling stressed?
How can I provide, wait, sorry, can you say it one more time?
How can I connect the idea quickly and provide examples within the time limit without, basically, how can I answer the question within the time limit without feeling stressed?
Okay, well this question is similar a little bit to one that we had before, and it's okay because it's the most common question, so I'm glad it's coming up because people might not have heard it before. The stress that you're feeling, the difficulty about connecting the ideas comes from a lack of practice. That's what it comes down to. Everybody wishes there was a different answer, but the truth is that you just have to do a lot more practice. And so usually, just to give you an example, like how much practice, like that it's tough and you're trying to improve and move towards that red circle of like phase 5 of mastery, even under pressure. To get to that point, my students usually answer like 50 to 60 speaking topics for task 1 and 2 before they really start to feel comfortable with it. But when my students are taking lessons with me, like there's a section in the Advanced Speaking Guide on our website where you can go and there's what I call speaking rockets. There are a bunch of extra questions and activities. My students do all of them. They do all of them, like hundreds, like 150, maybe 160 questions. I mean, you really have to answer a lot of questions before you start to get comfortable with those things. So that frustration that you're feeling comes from a lack of practice. The other thing is that you need to repeat your answers for a lot of these things. Remember, I talked about how sometimes people give up early. That was like one of the most common mistakes is just giving up. They don't repeat stuff enough, So it's like if you answer a prompt today, answer it again tomorrow. Do the same one again later. And then if you're doing task 4 or task 6, like another way that I always recommend my students to really improve their speaking, if they're using Write Notes, my purple program, is to do it multiple times. Like, do the activity today, and then put a reminder in your schedule a week from today to come back to it again, and repeat the same thing. Because if it's difficult, the only thing that means is that you need to keep doing it until it gets easy. Right? I mean, usually we don't like doing things that are difficult, so maybe we complete it and we're exhausted and it's really tough and we don't want to do it again. You just have to do it again and again and again and again and again. Most of it comes down to dedication about this, and just not getting bored, like finding a new way to make it creative and different. All right. Okay. Got another one. By the way, Steve is writing for me.
I'm actually writing myself now.
I saw, I was like, Jamie Miller. I'm like, but I'm talking and like writing. No, it's cool. All right, okay. Do we have another question?
So, Jay, I usually use templates to speak. Maybe that's why I'm lowering my score. Like in number 5, I use the man's problem is.
Yeah.
His friend offers 2
Yeah.
suggestions.
Yeah.
I have a second suggestion because there is anything wrong with it. Is there anything wrong with that?
Yeah, it's the template speaking. I mean, number 1, those phrases were created in 2010 by a teacher. Since they were put on YouTube, literally thousands of students have all gone and learned and are now repeating exactly the same words. This is why template phrases are a really bad idea. Somebody just asked a couple minutes ago, can I just memorize some sentences to say? The problem with that is that everybody is doing that. And then when you go into 26 on speaking, they want to know that you can speak specifically. So there is a section in my green book, Advanced Speaking Guide. It's on, I can even tell you the page number right now if we thought that was going to be important. But I mean, there's a page that talks specifically about how to eliminate some of those phrases that are limiting your score, because it's not specific. I mean, it isn't. Like, number 1, everybody is saying that already. So part of it is that you just sound like a robot repeating exactly the same thing that everybody else is saying. You need to be specific. Like, you've got to give a unique answer that shows that you know the vocabulary to talk about that situation. So in my program of Advanced Speaking Guide, I recommend very flexible sentence starters, and then you finish and you customize the rest of the sentence so that it fits that situation.
So, Hagen's got a good question here. So, each question in speaking has its specific path and map. What about if we make those ready in a 10-minute break? For example, question 3, the reading states that the main opinion is that he or she provides reasons, first, second.
Okay, yeah, so Pega, it's a great idea to get ready during the break. And I highly recommend that. And I make my students do that too when they're taking private lessons to me. So it is a really good idea to do that. But you've got to be careful what it is that you're getting ready, because like we just talked here before, you've got to be spontaneous. So you want to do something to trigger your memory, to make it easier for you to stay focused and stay on track, but it has to sound spontaneous. And the other thing that I'm going to say is that that verb that you put in there, you wrote provides in your thing, don't use provides. It's too formal for this context. Like, you want to use something really casual. I go in depth with this a lot. You can analyze my responses in Advanced Speaking Guide. You can see in Key 6 I did a whole bunch of examples for things, alternative sentences and verbs that you can use, but you want to sound casual, so don't use provides. Don't use states. I know that you hear that in some other recommendations, but my students who go, when they've gotten 28 and 27 and 26, they're not saying verbs like that. They use really casual alternatives.
So there's a lot of people here that are saying they're taking their TOEFL exam on April the 12th, in the middle of April.
It's a big day.
And also someone's saying, I got 26, 27 in writing. Do you think taking note classes will be helpful to speak?
In writing? Could be called the writing program. Well, it depends, yeah. I mean, because the thing is that you can always get better at taking notes, and part of the challenge is about learning to talk and use your notes simultaneously. I mean, they're not exactly the same skills, so yeah, it could help you. I mean, it could. Also, if you feel uncomfortable giving an academic response, then task 4 and 6, then write notes can help you, because most of that, like I'd say at least like 60 to 75% of the activities that are in there are actually about academic topics. So if you're struggling with the academic one, write gives you a lot of task 4, task 6 style practice. I will say it's not exactly set up like task 4 and task 6, but it really helps you talk from your notes and get a lot of practice with those things.
So Nanda's got a question here,
Okay.
and says he's applying for a doctorate degree
Okay.
in music at Indiana University.
Okay.
And I think this is something we've had a lot with a lot of people, is that he currently has a score of 91, which is 26, 20, 22, and 24.
Wait, 26, 20, 22,
and 24.
24.
But it needs to increase it to 100 by June the 1st.
Okay.
So there's a lot of people that need to increase to get there.
Right.
I think this is really important, isn't it? About people who need a specific job or
Right.
to do a specific thing, they need a certain score.
Right.
So what I ask you is, I have plenty of time to study, so what do you recommend for them to do? By the way, I do not need any specific score for any specific skill.
Great. Nanda, thank you for the very clear explanation. That was awesome. That was good. No, it's good, because I've got information. I can really give you a specific thing there. Okay, so the first thing is that your reading score being at 26 indicates that you understand a lot, and the listening score of 20 indicates that maybe you're getting stressed, or the topics are hard to focus on, or maybe pronunciation is difficult. Like, I'm not totally sure. Write notes might be a good program for you to do, because it would actually help you improve your listening, your speaking, and your writing simultaneously. Those are the 3 things that you just said you've got the biggest problem with. Yeah, I mean, basically just set a target of, like, 26, try to get 26 in reading again. I would say to try to get 26 in listening. That would be realistic based on the fact that, your reading is already kind of at that level. So I would work for that. And then for writing, again, the 24 plus writing tutorial can help you. You're already at 24, but I've had students who took the 24 plus writing tutorial. Like, let's say, for example, one of my students, Nada, she got 24 a long time ago, and then she had to take TOEFL again and again, and then her score went down to like 21, 20 on writing. She was like, oh my god, why did it go down? What did I do wrong? And so she used the 24 plus writing tutorial. She did the activities that are in there. She understood how to please TOEFL graders, and she was like, I can do that, that's easy. I can definitely write the kind of essay that they want. I'll just organize it like this. I'll include these kinds of sentences, these kinds of details and things. And then when she went back again later, she boosted her score from that to 27 on the exam. So when people follow those strategies, even if I'm starting to lose my voice, even if you're already getting 24, doing the Blue Book program that we've got, 24 plus writing, can help you maximize that. So you're really at a good point. So that is, yeah, I would definitely do that. So I think a combination of those things. Honestly, the bundled program might be a really good choice for you, because then you could also get the benefit of the green program, Advanced Speaking Guide.
Yeah, we'll still put a link at the top so people can still click on that if they need to. There's a few people on here that are asking about movies. So this is what people are talking about in the chat at the moment, and about does watching a lot of movies help by improving listening and speaking? Also by subtitles and things like that. I mean, a lot of people are saying that this is a good technique for them. What's your take and opinion on this?
Yeah, well, again, this is not as similar to the music question from before. I mean, watching movies, it does help. And a lot of my students who have really good levels of English also really enjoy watching TV and movies. So I think that you should do it. It does help with listening skills. It can help with vocabulary and just all of those normal communication strategies that native speakers are using. So I think that it's good to do that. And if you want to use subtitles, that's fine. There's a lot that you can learn from pronunciation with that. So that's, but it's not academic. And that's the biggest difference that I would make. Using academic listening practice is going to help you improve your understanding of academic lectures. It's not the same thing. I mean, if you're watching Brad Pitt in Ocean's 11, like, that's cool and you can understand him, but then if you go to the TOEFL section and they're talking about dinosaurs and fossils and, like, Brad Pitt and who else is in that, George Clooney, they're, like, talking about, like, casinos and gambling, and it's, like, not the same situation at all. So you've got to be sensitive to that. Yeah, it's good to watch movies, and you should, but that's very much like a hobby thing, and it's not necessarily going to affect your score.
What about documentaries?
Documentaries, yeah. And like, if you're going to use YouTube, one of the best things that you can do is go to YouTube's channel for National Geographic or the Discovery Channel. Like, go watch documentary-style stuff. Yeah, that's a really good way. I mean, it is a good thing to do with that, to help boost that. But, again, you want something that has a transcript. So one of the reasons that Write Notes is a great program is that as you're listening to the transcript, that didn't make sense. As you're listening to the lectures, you can also read the transcript underneath it. It's all in the same place. So you know what you hear is the word that's on the screen. And one of the problems with the YouTube videos that are out there, or like watching TV, doesn't always have subtitles. You don't always know what the people said. And when you're studying for TOEFL, if you want to boost your vocabulary, if you want to learn new words, you need to know what the speaker said. And the only way to check that is with the transcript. So that's why in Write Notes, I have the transcript on the website right underneath the audio file. Like, you don't have to go somewhere else. You don't have to flip through 57 pages to go find the transcript. It's all right there. So you listen. If you don't understand, you click a little button, and we show you the transcript so that you can see it right underneath it. And it's the same reason why in Advanced Speaking Guide, in Key 6, I give all of these model responses, and then I show you all the words that I said. We typed them out, and you can read exactly what I said, because you have to know what they're saying. And if you can't do that, I mean, if the documentary has that, it's good. But if it doesn't have it, don't use it. Got another question for me?
There's a couple of people that are asking, actually this is on the Facebook group as well, but asking about if they were to purchase Write Notes,
Okay.
is it actually a book or is it online?
Oh, okay, it's online. Well, could I do screen share? Because I could just do, well, yeah, let's just do a little, let's see how I can.
Well, let's ask, does anyone want to see a demonstration? Shall we, if we get Jamie to share her screen, does anyone actually want to see it? You can do a little demo. Would that help anyone to see a little demo?
All right, let's find out. While we wait for them to answer that, let's do another question.
And by the way, the 65 people that are still online, absolute credit to you.
You guys are champions. You're champions. Look at you still here. I love that. I'm so impressed that you're still here. I'm still here for you. Although soon I'm gonna have to go eat something. I'm gonna get like the shakes. And I'm
Somebody did ask, are you thirsty?
I just come on. Drinking my water. It's pretty much gone at this point. All right. Okay. Yeah. Let's try to get one more question, and we'll.
Yes. There's a few people that are saying that would be helpful.
Oh, they want the live. Okay, they want that. Okay. So let's see here if I can just make sure to set that up properly so that it's not confusing. Hang on. Wait. Here we go. I got it.
Okay.
All right. Cool. And we're gonna do this. Perfect. Okay. I think. That is right. Okay. Is that coming through?
So yeah, there we go. So
Perfect.
we can see that now. So.
Okay, so basically, guys, this here is the online TOEFL workshop. This is the inside of the place where you come buy a program. You log in here. Maybe I should just show that really quickly.
No, that's fine. I think people understand.
Right.
Once you purchase the program, you get redirected to this page. So as soon as you purchase, you paid and you've actually got the program,
you create an account.
You'll be redirected here to create an account.
Yeah, and it takes a couple minutes to set up the account, but you do get to come in here. And then you click on Advanced Speaking Guide, and then there's this menu where you've got some different options. And if you go to the Start Here tab, this gives some explanation about how to get set up. And you can sign up for daily reminders. You can decide how often you want them to be sent. Or not to have any reminders sent at all. And then you can start to download the first section of the book. So you basically just click here, and that triggers the PDF document so that you can come in, grab your cover, print and download these sections. This is the overview and the table of contents for our program. And the first part's just a few pages, but there are some activities here. And so the PDF document helps you get started with what to do. So if you want a to-do list, you can use these pages to keep you guided with that. So some pages are more like to-do lists. Other pages actually have activities. And you can see here we've got this whole section about making a realistic and effective study schedule. And there's some help, you print it off, you fill it in. So that's that part. And then the website also has other sections where there can be videos. So like, for example, I'm going to show you key 6 because that is what I personally consider to be really the best part of the program, the most useful section here, where you can come in and you can print off the pages of the workbook. Again, you just click there and it launches the PDF document. And then you can click here, you go to the section to see the videos and the audios. And this is where my model responses are. So if you come in here, you select which section you want to be in, what type of task you want to listen to, and then you get a menu that gives you model responses. There's some extra videos that talk about the approach of how to do that, and then you just click and you watch the video from in here. And there's also some extra practice for task 1 and 2. We've got some speaking rockets, and there are lots of other extra prompts and things like that that you can answer down below. Now, for example, with task 4, you come in and you see that there are my model responses. So you can click here, and you can click play and listen to those responses for me and for my student. And then below, there's some practice activities. Now, there aren't a million practice activities, but there are 3 for this. And these are also official ETS practice because, like I said before, it's really important to me that you use high-quality practice materials. So everything that we did here in the model responses in the workbook are based on that. So the program is really like a multimedia. It's a combination of things. You need a little bit of PDF, a little bit of the other. And let me just show real quickly, because Key 2 has got a lot of pronunciation videos, and this is something that people wouldn't necessarily know about, but there's loads of stuff in here. You can see that we've got different videos for vowel sounds and things like that. You can get and watch me in my super exciting pronunciation videos. They just pop up down below. You click play and you listen. And we've got some extra things like for linking sounds. There's some audio files. You just come over here, click play, and listen to those. So that's how you use it. So it's a combination of videos and PDF documents. And then there's also the extra tips section, which people say this is like super helpful. Sometimes people write about advanced speaking, they give me feedback on this, and they're like, wow, Jamie, you thought of everything. Like, you literally thought of everything.
What is the speaking rocket?
Oh, what's the speaking rocket? Okay, speaking rocket, I like giving names to things. So it's just the way that I refer to these. They're just extra practice prompts. But the thing that's nice about it, I'll just show it really quickly here. I'll give you an example of one. So let me zoom in on that, because I feel like that's kind of small. Maybe my eyes are getting bad. I could be getting old. Anyway, so for example here, these speaking rockets are about movies and films. And so what they do is they give you a box with vocabulary in it. And this is really beneficial because it just gives you a lot of inspiration and some ideas about what you can say. So you might learn some new vocabulary by looking at that box. And then underneath, we've got different topics. And these are all the kinds of things that you might get asked on TOEFL Speaking Task 1 and 2. So you've got those down there. And then all of the topics encourage you to speak about the same idea. So remember before when somebody said that like they don't know what to say about something and their mind goes blank and they're not sure what to talk about? Part of the reason for that is that they haven't talked a lot about that topic. It's an unfamiliar topic. And one of the reasons that these speaking rockets are really good is that they help you develop a lot of ideas. They help you talk about a lot of different things for the same topic. And so we've got some things here about movies and films, languages. Oh, we need to fix an image there. We'll fix that. That's missing. But then, you know, Facebook and social media, stuff like that. So there's a lot of different topics here so that you're encouraged to speak many, many different things, even about the same idea, so that it helps you develop your vocabulary and your confidence and your comfort with that. Okay. Yeah? We got that? All right, great, cool. So, any other questions?
I think that's it. Peggy's just asked how we can access the program. I've already told her that, and the link that's there. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we're good. We're good? All right, guys. You guys are champions for still staying here. We do still have people. That's awesome. Actually, we're like at 90 people. There's still 90 people here. I am super impressed by that, and I'm very honored that you've continued listening to me for so long. So, yeah, I hope that this was useful for you guys today. We're going to go. I really need to eat some lunch. I'm it's 3 hours now.
Starving.
We need to put it onto YouTube.
It's been a pretty long time. Yeah, we're almost at 3 hours, so we're going to put that up there. There is going to be a video, obviously, that will come up from this after, so you can rewatch this at any time if you need to.
We'll do the presentation notes as well.
Yeah, so we'll have that for you guys. We can give you notes on some of the things that I talked about. And basically, that's it for now. So if you've got any questions about anything, make sure to send us an email, info@englishsuccessacademy.com. Let us know if you've got any questions about anything, and we're here to help you. There is kind of a higher volume right now. People are sending quite a few emails and things, so just be patient with us as I get back to you and help you out with your issues. But I'm so grateful that you were here today. I think it's amazing that you took this time to learn more about how to boost your score. So as we say goodbye, just let me know if this has been useful for you today, if you feel like it was a good way for you to spend your time. Just let us know if it was good for you. And yeah, you can definitely still get that offer on the bundled package if you want to get all 3 programs for $97. We're going to have that for just a little bit longer. It's not going to be up forever. It is a discount of, I think, about like $20, $22 you're saving on there. So it's basically like you get the 24+ writing tutorial for free if you buy all 3 of those at the same time. So yeah, anyway, that's it. I think we are done. All right. Oh, wait, Timon, that's the wrong, Timon is trying to help out with the email address, but we just got the wrong one. So we'll change the notice on here. Hang on. We'll say email info@englishsuccessacademy.com. All right, yeah, we got that. Okay. All right, guys, we're good. All right, my dears, it was so wonderful. Thank you so much for listening today. Take care, and stay in tune for the next class that we'll be putting out. We're going to help with some more stuff about speaking. So we'll see you later, guys. Bye.